Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your amiable host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And we have some fun today. Some fun things to go through today. And I hope you are ready. I hope you are prepared. I hope you are in a jovial mood, because today is fun. It's relaxed. It's laid back. I got some Milos. We got some Milos. We're gonna drink that in just a second. We got a whole bunch of whiskey. We're gonna drink some of that in a minute. Oh my goodness, it's been too long. It has been too long since I had me some Milos. Let's see what we got here. Whiskey? Should we do whiskey? We should do some whiskey. This is Texas Republic whiskey. The Republic of Texas shaped whiskey. Is it good? I don't know. Is it even whiskey? Who knows? But will it do the trick? I'm guessing. Smells a little alcohol-y. It's not made for a soft pour, that's for sure. We're gonna give this a shot. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I get notes of gasoline, paint thinner, a little bit of oak. Oh, okay. It's not smooth, but neither are Texans, right? It is not smooth at all. It's a little rough. Sweet. It's not overpowering. I mean, except for that really acrid alcohol taste, but oh my goodness. Well, I am happy to be here with you guys. Let's do a couple. This stupid. Man, do I hate. I don't know why it will not just save my. Please save that autofocus setting to be off forever. I don't ever want the autofocus. We've got some stuff to do tonight. Of course, we're gonna walk through a Twitter conversation. I've done this before, but since this one is already public, I'm not gonna obscure the name or anything, and there's nothing to be said to go after this person or anything like that. It's not the intent. However, this person is trying to mischaracterize my very candid and cordial conversation where I thought we had a nice chat back and forth. And then turns out this guy just wants to be a complete fig about it or something. I don't know. I don't know what his deal is, but we're going to talk about it because I don't like being misrepresented and I don't like being partially represented. And again, I want to let you know how I interact with people in private when it's appropriate, because some of these people act like I am a dick, right? But I'm not. I'm actually nice, and I will communicate with people very openly, and I'll try and reach them on their level, and I'll try and get to some common grounds. But then when they come out, days or weeks later, and they try and paint the conversation as something that it wasn't to score some sort of point, well, you can bet I'm going to talk about it. You can bet I'm not going to let that go unabated. That's ridiculous. Why should that exist? Why should that be the strategy? So we're going to go through that in just a minute. And then I've got a copy of a transcript. And so we're going to go through that transcript and we're going to focus in on some really important points in that transcript. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about confidentiality agreements. because apparently I'm a liar. Right? Like that's what's coming out here is, no, we don't want confidentiality. We don't want that. We want it all public. We do. Nick's a liar. So we're going to talk about that too. And I mean, it would just be a shame if I had the document that would show it. Wouldn't that be a shame? Like, I mean, I talked about it yesterday. But it would be really unfortunate, I guess, if I could just show the actual document that shows exactly what they're asking for. And then we'll talk a little bit about, like, the Tarrant County rules. Because the court has rules about discovery. I don't know if we've covered that, but they do. The court has rules about all of this. And let me tell you, withholding discovery with a ransom of a confidentiality agreement by itself is against the rules. So, you know, I guess we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about what's to come. I was really hoping for a bonus tonight. And it's still, in theory, possible on whether or not the bonus will occur. But I'm starting to think that that will not occur until tomorrow. Or the next day, potentially. I don't know. But if it happens to drop tonight, we're going to talk about it tonight. But I'm going to politely suggest that I think a bonus is coming. Whether it's tonight or tomorrow or the next night remains to be seen. Okay. Guys, I keep thinking this is going to slow down. I'm going to get to talk about something else. Surely, leading up to depositions that are scheduled, surely we're not going to be talking about this case all the time, because what's there to do prior to depositions? I mean, one party has a bunch of discovery to turn over, and then they don't turn it all over. They turned over some, but not all. And they did something where they levied some objections that are likely improper. And I'm not an expert on Texas procedure, but let me suggest that it's possible that their objections aren't valid. And it's going to be a problem for them. So, what do we do first? Oh, It's like drinking right from the nail polish remover bottle. Woo! Okay, first things first. I got a gift today. It is from Decaf Geek. Decaf Geek is my dude. Let me pull this up. Oh, some fine art framed for the office. Here we go. And it says, "Thars he blows. Thars he blows." So, thank you Thank you so much to Decaf Geek. Fantastic. I love it. I'll hang it up really soon here. I just got to pick my spot for it. It's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a very nice gift. Oh, and I must say, short round. I'm wearing another short round shirt today. We have Officer of the Court, Rekieta Law. Thank you to Short Round for that. I appreciate it, buddy. Okay. Today it's a good day. It's a good day, y'all. Because you know, I don't know. It's just good. It's making me laugh all day long. I've been laughing all day. And I can't ask for anything other than that, right? Would we were always so blessed as to laugh all day. Let's first do, there are some super chats that came in before the show started, including some big ones. I really want to hit those. And then we're going to jump into this Twitter conversation. And then hopefully right around midnight will be, that's typically where peak viewership is. Midnight my time. That's typically where peak viewership is. And then we will start to talk about the discovery stuff, the transcript and the discovery stuff. Because according to Shane, this never happened. And according to Shane, I have provided 0 documents, whereas Shane has provided 27 or something like that. Now, the documents Shane is providing are largely the ones available on Research Texas. They're also posted on Kiwi Farms and other places. I don't have a place to post the documents, so I figure you can either watch the streams in which we go through every page, or you can go find them pretty simply. Heck, you can go to Shane and find them. But I'm guessing Shane doesn't have these documents. If I had to wager, well, I'd assume that Shane would, of course, post said documents if he had them. But apparently, I'm a liar, according to Monica, Ron, and Shane. So, we'll just see, won't we? We'll cover the transcript. That way, the reason I'm doing the transcript, if we haven't figured out, is because I want to make sure we're very, very clear about exactly what was said on the record in court. On the record. Now, to be clear on this, I believe that this transcript actually cuts off prior to the hearing's ending. I'm sorry about that. This is what the court record is for this transcript, to my knowledge. Now, let me check something real quick. And since the court, it is ended. It is ended here. So there may have been some stuff that happened after that transcript, but this is the official transcript. I will show you the ending. I'll show you the end page, just so you know, I did not cut anything out of it, but the court might not have gotten everything. So I just want to be clear on that. That's all going to come up. So let's do these super chats, and then we'll go and get into it. We're going to get into it. Seth says, open to Glenlivet 12, first fill edition. I have to say this is top tier, and he does a racist symbol. Almost as top tier as the number of lulls provided, pushing for no confidentiality to a judge, then motioning for confidentiality to avoid discovery. We're going to have some theory about that too. Man, I got to get a haircut, y'all. I got to get a haircut. We're going to talk about some theory about that. And I don't think the theory bodes well. I don't think the theory bodes well at all. Eschershill says, can't say I'll catch the replay. Can't say I'll catch the replay. Can't stay. Can't stay. I'll catch the replay. Some of these folks get bothered by you, that's me, making money by entertaining me, that's him, and teaching me how the law works at the same time helping Vic out. This donation is in spite of them. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Also, Also, $100 in GoFundMe for due process. Thanks to them. Good night. So yes, to the people out there on Twitter who are really, really sad that money is being made and donations are being done to both me, which is separate from and exclusive of the GoFundMe, and to the GoFundMe for Vic, right? You guys donate to me to participate in the entertainment. I hope it is entertaining always. And you guys donate to the GoFundMe to help Vic out, right? That's a clear distinction. It's been that way from day one. And I appreciate it very much. And so people have a problem. People have a problem with other people making money. Now, let's not talk about the fact that Greg Doucette, who's called me a grifter for doing things like making money on a live stream, has a Patreon for his podcast. So apparently it's not grifting when he does it, but it's grifting when I do it better. That's the trick, right? That's always the trick when someone is complaining about your money, is that you're doing it better than them. So, not to talk about this subject too much because, it's just silly. But where do we go? But yeah, someone was, what was it? Oh, the guy I'm going to talk about, he was freaking out about the fact that I was making money today. And then someone else was like, but Greg, he helps people. Apparently I don't, right? So me doing criminal defense work for reduced rate or even free many times, that doesn't count, but Greg doing it does. And he says, what was it? It was, he's helping people. If I wanted, I could get on YouTube and rant and collect chats as well. Hey, my friend, do it. Try it. And I wish you the best. I wish you all the success in the world. Why aren't you doing it? If you have the ability, why aren't you doing it? But remember, everybody can always do it. I just don't want to. Escher Shill says, one more thing before bed. Don't worry too much about this one, Nick. It's an inside joke. I think it will be entertaining to make you say, "Awoo" for President 2020. Let's make it happen, folks. Yep, happy to pay for that. Kick Vic. There you go. The Scott 16 says, hey, Nick, have you heard about Rooster Teeth not paying their animators for overtime? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. Why not, Rooster Teeth? In their official response, they didn't deny it and seemingly set up a gray Haddock as a scapegoat. Shame we don't know any lawyers in Texas. Samuel Montana. By the way, if anybody out there has been affected by Rooster Teeth's unlawful business practices, please get in contact with me. I'd be happy to hook you up with an employment lawyer capable of handling your claim. Samuel Montana says, on time, 2 nights in a row. What? I'm telling you, I just need that. I needed that little, 5-6 day, whatever it was, break from Matsuri. I definitely needed a little time to recharge. And now, guys, I by the time I got back, I was like, let's get it. Back to live streaming. Mythos Irving says, Nick, last one for a while, needs to save for next year. Want to go to Anime Matsuri next year, so no disgusting comments from me for a while. I know you're devastated. Want to meet my favorite lawsplainer and others like Vic. Sounds good, Mythos. Thanks a bunch for all that you've done. And you never need to apologize for not giving me money. You really don't. Automata says, Ron, quote, they also seem to miss that the judge mentioned doing the deposition at the courthouse for a reason. There are credible threats. It's part of, if that's a part of why, couldn't a clarification be asked to the judge at a hearing? That's not at all why. The judge is there to resolve any disputes because the judge says, the judge saw the writing on the wall. The writing on the wall is that there's going to be disputes and discovery because there already were. So the judge is there. He's like, yeah, just have it here. That way, if there's a dispute, I'll be there. Well, now the judge is there. There's less likely to be a dispute. That's the whole point. The Texan 83 says, just came from listening to BFG Division by Mick Gordon off the Doom soundtrack to this. Think you can keep my energy levels up to match that for the last hour of my day? I'm going to try, buddy. Small Town Gamer, thank you. Nigerian Paralegal, thank you. Small Town Gamer, again, says, crap, meant to say come to Kentucky and try some bourbon like Woodford Reserve. I've had some Woodford Reserve. I'm a fan. And I do want to come to Kentucky and do a distillery tour at some point. DCV Titan says, would it be a shame or would it be a shame? I think the latter would be far more embarrassing. Also, it was impressive seeing you, Ty, Hero A, and Tug on stage together, and even more so that you boomered the stream somehow. My boomer powers are never to be underestimated. Austin Heartless said, theory time, Jesus had a beard, Nick has beard. Therefore, Nick is Law Jesus. X-Files theme song. Boomer says, never forget that in the sweltering summer heat of 1992, Kevin Nash was assaulted. I will never forget. The Raging Majority says, thank you for helping me get over my sadness of seeing Ethan Ralph fall apart on stream. Man, I got to reach out to Ralph. What's going on? I have not had any time to follow him. Ryan Mercado said, would you want some wanted by U.S. Marshals posters of the most prominent Kick Vic figures? Spoiler alert, I already made one for the Blue Orca. Sure, buddy. They sound hilarious. Okay, let's get into this conversation. Here we go. So this is John Matthews, JT Master Jedi on Twitter. I have no shame in sharing with you that because I was talking with him today, and this is a person who is trying to, misrepresent this conversation, something that it's not, and leaving out key parts. And, you'd be able to put it together once we got to the spot anyway. So, if they're going to release the private messages, then I don't see why they should not have that put out there. Okay? So here's the backstory. Oh, I suppose I could go ahead. I'll hit my button. There we go. Can you guys read that? Hopefully you guys can read that okay. I guess I'll see it on stream in just a second. Like 20. Stupid. Here we go. Oh my goodness, it's blurry on my end. I hope it's not blurry on yours. Of course, I haven't. What is this terrible quality? There, yeah. All right. For me, it was showing on 360p. I don't know why. I guess I don't really need to see what's on the screen for you. All right. Sorry. I'm rambling. Let me Zen. We're good. Okay. So it actually started because of this tweet, right? Because of this tweet, and this guy was being fairly neutral. So I reached out to him because of this tweet. So let's start with that tweet. The dude drinks so much, I think he literally gets drunk in every stream. He has a thing full of alcohol behind him all the time. Ooh, oh no, I've got a stocked bar. Watch out. Oh, I could make this bigger, couldn't I? If I just do... Come on, Twitter. Catch up. No! Oh my goodness, just a second. You can't click in the wrong spot. If you click in the wrong spot, Twitter decides that you don't want to use it anymore. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. All right. So, yeah, the dude drinks so much, I think he literally gets drunk. Full thing of alcohol behind him all the time. I think he uses some of the money made on stream to buy more alcohol, honestly. Whoa! Whoa! Watch out! Watch out for that conspiracy. I sometimes use money that I make on the show to buy alcohol, which is part of the show. He's got me. He's got me. I'd rather spend it on more enjoyable things. Well, you go right ahead, except it isn't yours. All right. So then, I was sending him this screenshot. We'll get into the context in just a second. So he said, hey, John, that's more the magic of TV. I like getting alternative perspective on things, and you not liking my content doesn't bother me. Not in the slightest. Would you be open to talking DMs about some things? Always looking for other points of view. That's very cordial of me. I must say, I rate my communication there at least a 7 out of 10. So then I even went a step further, and I did the courtesy of messaging him so he didn't have to go through the trouble of messaging me and me not seeing it in my requests or whatever. So I messaged him first. I said, hey, John, I posted on your thread, dropping this DM for convenience if you would be willing to talk to me. No pressure, Nick. I don't see the message in the thread if you posted there. I mean, let's be very honest. I took this shot, okay, after I took this screen cap after he said this. So in his massive thread with 6 whole likes, he was unable to see my response. This guy's got, I don't know, 1 second. How many, what are we talking about here? How many Twitter followers? Let's see. I mean, come on. Come on. Oh my goodness, Twitter. What are you doing? Oh, he blocked me. He blocked me. He's watching. Oh, come on, John. That's embarrassing, buddy. You blocked me in live real time. I can still see the messages. Oh, God. John. John. Oh, no. No. Don't be a turbo cuck and block me in the middle of the show. Oh, everyone can see it. They all know. You should have blocked me after and pretended you weren't watching. You said all day you weren't gonna watch. All day. Why would I watch a show? You said it. Oh my God. Walk that one back, homie. You can't, John. You're just trying to make my show better than Shane does. Stop it. Stop it. All right. I was gonna see how many followers he had, but now I can't. So we're just gonna go. We're just gonna go. Oh my God. All right. Let me just suggest that this is not a high activity threat. That was the whole point. That was the joke there. That was just the joke, was that this is not a high activity thread, and that I can't find it. Well, I mean, come on. Have you looked? How many notifications you get a day? Like 8? Come on. Come on. He unblocked? Did he unblock? Let's see. Ah! He did. Oh, thanks, John. Good work, buddy. Props to you. Props to you. But you're trying to give me a heart attack. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. The whole thing. I told you, I've been laughing all day. And the whole point of that was just to say, I don't think it was that hard to find, but I still provided him the shot. So there you go. Said, for what it's worth, it looks like I drink a lot more than I do. Maybe I'll change that tonight just for him. Here we go. Let's finish this glass of gasoline. Oh, that's good shooting whiskey. Either way, I'd love to get perspective from people who don't automatically agree with me. So then he says, just based on what I have seen from your streams, I think you do drink a little too much during it, yes. And it's in a lot of them. Maybe not all, but quite a few. All right. I said, well, we could argue about that, but it's fine. My guideline is generally 1 drink per hour. It looks like more sometimes, but that's not what I'm interested in. People have different preferences and thoughts on alcohol. I'm more interested in your perspective on the Vic situation. He says, also to add, that comment, for whatever reason, doesn't even appear in my mentions. Wild. My perspective, I mean, so here's the part you've seen, right? My perspective, I mean, yeah, I'm not on the I stand with Vic side, obviously. But I do feel things on the Kick Vic side could be handled differently. Yes, both sides have issues, but based on what I have seen, comments, threats, and all, the I stand with Vic side in the community has been much more hateful and vicious. That is just for sure. Just that is a for sure, just based on stuff that I've seen on both sides. So I said, as for the comments, I'm occasionally shadow banned. I'm being conciliatory, right? I can see that for sure, the viciousness. Now, what John did, John took that statement, which is me being conciliatory and basically saying, this is a conversation technique. I don't know how many of you are people who have to interact with other people, but sometimes it's not useful to sit and argue with someone about their perspective. If you have children, or if you have a spouse, or if you have an intimate partner or a very good friend, you know that sometimes getting past some point where you're not going to agree is more important than correcting and inserting your position. If you're trying to be argumentative, that's one thing. If you're trying not to be argumentative, you be conciliatory and candid, and you just go ahead and let the other person have their experience. So this is a rhetorical technique that is used to get past, it's used to get past a sticking point. So I say, I can see it. I can see your perspective on the viciousness. And of course, if you're on the side of Kick Vic, you're going to see the I stand with Vic side to be vicious. Of course that's your perspective. This isn't revelatory, John. So the next one. And honestly, vids that Yellow Flash, Hero Hay, and sometimes you, suckers, take that Flash and Hay, make just only rile the hate crowd up, which does not help things. So my response, well, are you sure it doesn't help things? Now, how John is trying to spin this is me saying that hate helps things, rather than what it is, where I'm not arguing with him on his perception of what the crowd is. He calls it hate, okay. I call it energy and positivity because I have a bunch of people who watch my show every freaking night that are absolutely positive that they want to see Vic at conventions, that they're fans of Vic, and that they want to support him. So he sees hate. I'm not going to try and dispute that point, but I am absolutely going to say 100% yes. Many of my videos are in rallying clarion calls to Vic supporters to keep them supporting Vic. I want Vic to succeed. I've said it over and over again. I want Vic to be in a place where even if he were to somehow lose the lawsuit, his career has a chance to survive in some way because his supporters will be with him. I've said it so many times. I don't know what else you want. I'm not lying to you, John. I don't actually lie to anyone despite your overcucked reaction today saying that I've lied about several things. Name one, pussy. You haven't. You haven't, and you can't. I don't lie. And when I'm wrong, I say it. But I'm not often wrong because I'm so damn careful and so damn thorough, and I can back up my sources every time, even when I haven't done it immediately, like you'll see today. So I'd appreciate rolling back the liar talk until you can point one out. So here we go. Are you sure it doesn't help things? Now, why would I ask this question? Why would I ask this question? Maybe it's because since me, Flash, Hirohei, Tug, and others came out and started supporting Vic and giving people who also, thousands and thousands of people, 6,000 people right now, 50,000 people who watch these streams in replays. We've given a place for thousands and thousands of people who support Vic to go to get information, to get support, to get encouragement, and to help them channel that energy into getting Vic to conventions, into getting themselves to conventions, to giving them a place where they're not called racists, sexists, homophobes, or whatever you call them, John. Whatever nasty names you have for people who just like a voice actor, whatever nastiness you people have for them, we've given them a place where they can gather and focus their energy and meet other people who are of similar minds. What have you done? What have you done for your side? What have you done for anybody? But that's what we're doing. And since we've done that, Vic has gotten re-invited to KamehamehaCon and invited to several other venues where he can interact with people who want to interact with him when chumps on your side are trying to prevent that interaction. Not for their own sake. They're trying to prevent it for everybody. What have you done, though? So what you call hate, I don't care what you call it. You're an idiot. What you call hate, I call giving people an opportunity to focus their energy into something productive for themselves and for the guy they're a fan of. But what have you done? So then I start saying something. I start saying, this is the mantra I'm trying to figure out. And he jumps in and says, perfection before he got exposed as a liar and a piece of poop riled up the hate crowd a lot too and got a lot of misinformation out there. Well, yeah. Look, we agree on something. But here, back to my thing. The mantra I'm trying to figure out. People have suggested that if everyone just shut up and let it all happen, Vic would get his day in court and everything would be fine. We've talked about this, or at least I have. And then I go back. Perfection is a pile of garbage and a liar. Being honest. Whatever anyone may think about my approach, I verify everything I say. Okay? So this is a response to that misinformation line about perfection. Just making sure. Because, see, there's this guilt by association. There's this fallacy by conflation, right? Let me mention you along with these other people and also perfection who does this bad thing. And then the implication is that I do the bad thing and so do Hirohei and and Yellow Flash, right? That's the implication. Maybe not fully shut up on it, right? Listen to this big conciliatory speak here. Maybe not fully shut up on it, but no more clickbaity titles and thumbnails. Right, yeah. Listen, Flash and Hero, hey, don't you do the clickbaity titles and thumbnails. This guy knows how you should run your channel. This guy knows. And also, everybody who clicked on it, John's just looking out for you. No more clickbaity titles and thumbnails. Less frequent vids on the subject when there isn't much to discuss. See, again, maybe if you guys just talked less about it. Please just talk less about it. Please just talk less. Or there isn't any for sure info out on the subject. What's for sure info? People are talking about this every day on Twitter. Every day. Flash, Hey, Tug, those guys have got Twitter nailed down. They keep you guys updated on what's going on Twitter. They keep me updated in private messages on what's going on Twitter. I don't follow it. I don't see a lot of it. They follow it and they do it really well. And not everybody has the time to scroll through Twitter all day. Getting a video on it is a lot more fun. So here we go. And a different way of speaking to the audience can at least keep some heads cool for a while. So I respond with this, a hypothetical. A hypothetical. What would you respond if I said that I don't believe cool heads would help Vic at all? Let me tell you something, guys. What have Vic's opponents been saying from the start? The same people who call Vic a pedophile, same people who call Vic a rapist, same people who want Vic fired and prevented from being at cons. What is their advice to help Vic? Man, they have all of it, right? They will not stop talking about what is good for Vic. Not once. They can't stop saying, you know what? That rapist, pedophile, child molesting, scumbag, liar who should be prevented from going to all cons and should never work in anime should do. You know what he should do if he wants to really help himself out? He should just stop talking about it. And he should tell everybody to stop riling people up. That's what Vic should do. Vic should come out and police the entire internet and tell everyone, no, please don't do this. That's what Vic should do. And remember, where's it come from? Every effing time. It's from the Johns of the world, right? Well, I don't support Vic at all. And I don't like any of you people, but here's what you should do, right? Every time. Same advice that Ron Toye gave Vic. Well, Vic, if you just shut up and if you just tell everybody to stop being mean, then that'd be fine. Oh, man, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be handy? If you guys had any idea how often this advice has come in from people who hate Vic, God, I think he should listen. I think they have Vic's best interests at heart, right? They've shown over and over how much they care about Vic. Like knifing him, and then stepping on him, and then defecating on his corpse. Man. All right. Just for example, some of Yellow Flash's vids or Hero Haze, their vids seem to definitely be aimed at riling people up. And Yellow Flash made a vid based on a false rumor, but many took it as fact rather than a rumor. Stuff like that does not help at all. So I said, I think cool heads disproportionately benefit people who had been publicly defaming him, which is true. And then I agree with you on that stuff, by the way, which I do. If Flash put out a video that was based on a false rumor, then I don't think that helps. Absolutely. Naughty Flash. Naughty. I'm not going to condemn him for it. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Michael Wheeler says, the reason I watch you so much is the fact that you back your stuff up every time. If I caught dishonesty out of you, I would stop watching. Hey, thanks, and I would encourage you to. Tipster Alt says, Kick Vickers or something else. In all the years I've been a content creator, I've never seen people this crazy. They're unbelievable and just love to hear themselves talk, even if what they're saying is nonsense and lies. Kato, I prefer New Project 2. But after you open up a New Project 2 account, you gotta send me an email. Send me an email, because it doesn't have Discord integration yet, so I gotta manually get you the Discord info. But yeah, New Project 2 is where I prefer it. Thank you. All right. And as I stated, cool heads disproportionately benefit the people who had been publicly defaming him. Of course. Of course it does. Just be quiet. Just be quiet. And go do your court case while your career dies in the shadows. Just shut up. Just shut up and go away. That way, the allegations can be the prevailing narrative until he might win later, right? This is not rocket science. You can see people who have won defamation cases, who have won these, who have won false rape cases, right? They always win them in the criminal side, and rarely ever does the woman get punished for it. But when they do, what happens? What are the top stories when you Google their names? Oh, it's about the rape accusations. Rarely about that case that gets resolved 2 years later. So yeah, yes, cool heads and quiet volumes disproportionately benefit the defamers, because then what statements get prominence? The loud defaming ones. John. Maybe not cool heads, but cooler heads can at least keep the heat down a little. Who wants the heat down? Who wants the heat down? Threats are things that result from too much heat. Where? Where are the threats? I've been threatened. Not death threats or anything stupid. I've been threatened. I've had people threaten my work over and over and over again, John. Who have I threatened? Laugh at a lot of people. Mock a lot of people. Think they're all really embarrassing. I didn't threaten anybody. That's the funny thing. Over and over and over again, there's threats. Where are they coming from? Threats are things that result from too much heat. I've seen those kind of comments. Like the one guy who said he wished Vic would die so he'd stop going to cons. That was good. And it's despicable to see, but many come from the very people that watch y'all's videos. Citation needed. I just feel that watching what you say could at least help, even if it's just a minor help. Just my honest opinion, at least. Yeah, that's a fine opinion, by the way, and you'll note that in my response. I said, maybe. I don't condone threats. Over and over again, I've said, don't threaten people. Don't bother these people. Don't do any of that. There's a weird line where you can't tell people what to do or what not to do. Oh yeah, I'm not arguing with you at all. See? Nice. I hope that doesn't come across that way. I'm appreciating the candor, and I was. What I don't appreciate is taking that candor out of context and splaying it on the internet to try and misrepresent what I said. And that's what you did, John, and you know it. And since you're out there watching, you suck for that. That was really uncool. Really uncool to do that. But we'll go on. Personally, I would much prefer that I were the worst actor in all this, because I would never threaten anyone or anything like that. Which is true. I don't threaten people. So if the worst that you've got is me calling Ron Toye a cuck and saying he's about to get reamed by a lawsuit, oh no, poor Ron Toye. I would prefer to be that. I would love to be the worst person for them, because I'd know nothing bad would ever happen to them in real life. I mock and pick on people, sure, but I don't believe in violence. So here we go. And yes, just to say, I did talk to Monica and Ron in person recently. Now, before you judge, why would I judge you for that? We mostly talked about other stuff while we talked for a good while. But even when the subject of Vic came up, they had very cool level heads about it and answered me honestly on stuff. Good. I don't know if it was honest or not, but good. Hell, Ron even so much as let me see some messages on his phone. Well, I don't know. Maybe you should be deposed about what it was. It's a joke. It's a joke. But both were very nice people. When I... That's funny. This is funny. Good job, buddy. Both were very nice people. When I spoke to them and didn't lose their cool on anything. Just wanted to throw that out there while the subject was going. Why would they lose their cool? If you don't approach them in some sort of nasty way, then good. Good. I would really hope that they wouldn't lose their cool. And if you'll note, I've said in stream after stream, if you go to a convention where Monica is, don't confront her on Vic stuff. Don't even bring it up. Why? Because conventions aren't about that. So if you want to get a signature from Monica, go get one. I've said it so many times. Don't do anything antagonistic. So my response, no judgment. I hope they have people be friends and support them. You left that one out of your little things. They spoke very minorly about the case stuff, but I didn't push for more info because honestly, none of my business. Cool. That was respectful of you. Good job. I've told people over and over to support their work, etc., not to let their perceived bad actions impact consumption of their art. Also true. And most importantly, not to bother or harass them at conventions, etc. Not based on some past streams I've seen. I guess find it. Find the stream where I said to go bother them. I'll wait. DL Ziggs 3337 SSJ says, John Math, you suck. Here we go. Now, granted, those were older streams, but still your personality and the words you used were definitely hate-filled. Okay. Those are the things. I think I did say I hate some at one point. I do think I remember one hate coming out. I don't usually use that word, but I was a little mad. Those are the things, like I mentioned before, that we really do not need in these videos. Good thing you're not in charge. It sparks the wrong kind of people to do or say things they definitely shouldn't. Oh man. Yes, if you could just link my video to someone doing something bad, right? Like Toye trying to link me to some weirdo who pulled a gun out in federal courthouse and started shooting in Dallas, right? Like when Toye, John, think about the people you're supporting. When that piece of garbage, Ron Toye, tried to suggest that I somehow had something to do with a terroristic gun attack on a federal court building in Dallas? Who's instigating hate, John? Think about that. Who's instigating hate when you try and link me to someone who tried to murder people with a gun and you have zero indication that that person has ever watched my video? But remember, it's me who's sparking the crazy person, right? It's not the person, it's not the person suggesting that I'm inciting terrorism. Somehow, I'm inciting terrorism on a Dallas courthouse and not on the people who did this and not on the Tarrant County courthouse. I don't know. I'm sure you just blame me for not being thorough enough. But maybe let's talk about who's inciting hate. Because I think Ron Toye might have crossed a line there, suggesting that I am somehow related to some troubled person opening fire on a Dallas courthouse. But, you know, me calling him a cuck is probably what did it, though. That's why he shot up the Dallas courthouse and not, like, you know, anything related to anyone we've ever talked about. So here we go. Well, I don't really care for them personally. I'm not a big fan of people who lie about other people. See the previous minute of discussion for that. Even still, you have an audience and you're an influencer. Well, thank you. What you say has an effect on your audience regardless of how you may think they will take it. Just something to be careful on in the future. I've mostly been trying to keep a level head in this. I'm not hardcore any side in this, but I absolutely am sick of all the terrible things people say online that I see every day. It's not just towards the VAs, it's towards companies too. Why? Because Rooster Teeth is a pile of trash company that apparently doesn't pay its employees fair wages. Just brought in someone from High Guardian Spice, the ultimate failure of animation, to head up their company. They're making great business decisions because they won't stop their VAs from lambasting and defaming Vic after they fired him. Or maybe it's Funimation, who did the exact same thing and has the same terrible Glassdoor reviews from former employees talking about just how shitty of a company they are. We wouldn't want to talk bad about them. We wouldn't want to do that, would we? Barocco Gaia says, you know, Nick, we need to have a chat about how to enjoy the high-end alcohols. I bought some Glenfiddich. It ended in disappointment. Maybe I lack the refinement necessary to enjoy the taste of nail polish and wood chips. Well, it depends on the Glenfiddich, to be fair. So anyway, and towards his company too. Again, see that? Look at that conciliatory tone, that rhetorical device. Sure, let's get past this point. I don't really agree with you, but it's not worth arguing. I wanted to confirm one thing too, if you know the answer. Sure, what's up? Is Vic still taking the therapy sessions that he mentioned before? I don't know for sure. I have no idea. I know a lot of people sure are talking about Vic still taking therapy sessions. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. But they're really definitively talking about stuff that Vic is doing in private. That's interesting. How do they know? Who's spreading the misinformation on that one, John? But I think that's been distorted pretty heavily. The reason for the therapy. Well, why would Vic go to therapy other than him being a rapist? Oh, I don't know. Because maybe several of his very good friends turned their backs on him, knifed him, stepped on his body as he was dying in the dirt. He got him fired, tried to get all the conventions to drop him, and have tried to weaponize a fan base against him and turn him into a social pariah and a monster. Why on earth would anyone need to go to therapy after finding out that people you are allegedly friends with for 20 years are willing to stab you in the back and spit in your face in public? I don't know. Let's think of an alternative reason other than he's a rapist, child molester. Maybe it's because his whole life was taken out from under him. Maybe there's some reasonable explanation for therapy other than whatever you think he did that he has said over and over that he didn't do. I don't know, though. What do you think? Ron said he was. Ron doesn't know Vic. Ron doesn't know Vic. I have probably now, after Matsuri, spent more time in physical proximity to Vic than Ron. Think about that. Think about that, because Ron has talked about, oh, he just wants the best for Vic. We just want the best for Vic. We want him to get better. Ron has probably spent less time talking with, conversing, and hanging out with Vic in person than me. And I met him for one weekend, Thursday through Sunday. Why are you listening to what Ron thinks? First of all, Ron is an idiot. He has to wear a helmet to eat soup, John. Second of all, Ron doesn't know Vic. He's been misrepresenting this from the start. John, Ron is a liar. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you'll stop listening to the stupidity that comes out of his mouth. I don't know what else to tell you. Maybe talk to Vic about it sometime, if you can manage to get near him without getting molested. But I don't know, maybe he is taking therapy. Am I going to base it on Ron? Where would Ron get that? John, logic through this with me for a second. Ron is being sued by Vic. They're both represented by counsel. Do you think they're talking to each other? Do you think they're exchanging calendars and setting up, what, hair and nail appointments together? Where do you think Ron is getting the information about what Vic is doing in his private life? I'm just going to ask you to pause for a second and noodle through that. Let's see. Ron said this to me, and this is paraphrased a little. Regardless of anything, I'm glad he's at least getting the help he needs. Oh, yeah. Ron has showed a definite want for Vic to get the help he needs. I appreciate him trying to better himself. That's cute. Not word for word, but that was the gist of it. Great. Sure, I'm guessing Ron and Monica has a network that gets them that info. I don't personally know. Which is funny, because, right, like, I'm supposed to be directly knowledgeable of all things Vic, and I'm working for him according to your side, which has all of the correct information, right? Like about me being Vic's agent and about me being Vic's lawyer over and over and over and over again. I'm supposed to know everything about him. Well, if that's true, then I have no idea. So if that's true, then, and I have no idea, and I know everything, then I must conclude that no one else has any idea either. Anyway, that's fine. I just wasn't sure if I heard quite right and just wondered if you knew. In person, they are actually pretty nice people, and Monica greatly appreciates the fan base. So don't think of them too negatively. Like, honestly, their personalities were better than a lot of guests at cons I met before. Don't doubt it. That's saying a lot about my impression of people you've probably met at cons, though. Not saying it will influence your opinion on them, but just take as an opinion from my experience talking to them and seeing how they interact with people. Absolutely, this is why I reached out. It is. I want people to converse with me who disagree and can converse politely. And I was so flipping happy we were having this conversation. I'm giddy. I'm giddy on the phone, messaging with you. Thought it was great. It's a weird habit of mine studying the behaviorisms of people. I do it at work a lot, and it's usually spot on with judging how they are as a person as a whole. Good judge of character, I guess you could say. Picked up the habit back when I used to be very socially awkward. What's your assessment of me? Ha! See that emoji's a smiley face with a little devil grin thing there. I talked with them at the con for at least an hour or two, so it gave me lots of first-hand experience with them. It was a really small con, so a lot more personal with guests. Well, that was really nice way for you to say they had an hour to spend with you, rather than signing autographs or whatever. That's awesome. I love the opportunity cons give for that personal interaction. Says, I mean, for you, I've stated a few faults that could be improved on. No, you've stated a few opinions that you have expressed to me. I would not call them faults that could be improved upon. That's your perception. Remember how we go back to that, your perception thing? Now, I will give you props on one thing, because it was well-deserved. You tearing into perfection was one of the best things I've seen happen in a while, because F that guy. Well, you're welcome. Haha. Well, I try to do good from time to time. See, that's a self-deprecatory joke. Self-deprecating. I mentioned you doing that to Monica because she had issues with perfection, and she was appreciative of it. Well, glad to be of service, m'lady. We were talking about his channel being banned at the time. Like I said, not a fan of liars. What he was doing to geekdom was really awful. to anybody, really. You saw some of the comments he made to young girls, right? That all coupled with the spread out outright false info on the Vic situation kept having to explain to people that he was talking nonsense. Yeah, I tried to avoid and ignore him and steer people away. Misery56 says, I don't watch anime and I don't know these people, but you've brought me into this and I somehow care about how this ends. Thanks for being good at this. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Sadly, not all people could be convinced he was lying. I had a few cases of that happen. No matter what I said, they wouldn't believe me. It was like talking to an enraged customer at the service desk at Walmart. They aren't going to listen to reason. Gay and still at large says, I'm surprised of all the things the Twitter twits throw at you. They never try to get you on boomering up your own stream. You know, see, there's the fault that could be improved upon. In the end, I just want things to go back to at least some form of normality. Seeing this big rift in the fan base is saddening, and it scares away some people who are just now getting involved in the community. Man, wouldn't it be great if certain people didn't cause that? Oh, that would have been wonderful. If some people didn't come out and lie about someone and cause a giant rift in the community. God, that would have been wonderful. Yeah, I wish the parties would get together and settle. As I've said for now, over 4 straight months. Man, it'd be great if they'd settle. Man, it'd be great if they all came out. If Monica and Ron were to come out and say, you know what? We way overblew things that were based on some personal drama. Vic is not a sex offender. He's not a danger to people. And he should be invited back to cons, and companies like Funimation and Rooster Teeth should consider working with him, because honestly, our problems with him were unrelated to sexual stuff, and things just got out of hand. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be just wonderful if that could happen? And I've said that same thing for 4 months. Settle. 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 Things are better if you settle. Best thing to do would be to settle. I would be talking about settling. Man, it'd be great if they'd settle. If only they'd just talk to Ty and settle. Man, wouldn't it be wonderful if their lawyer would talk and settle? Man, wouldn't it be great if they could just come to some way and settle? Man, I bet they could probably settle inexpensively because Vic's legal fees are being paid by a GoFundMe. Man, there's all sorts of great benefits to settlement. Wouldn't it be just wonderful if we could settle and get past all this? For 4 months, man. We all want the same thing, John. You know who else wants it? Vic. Vic. You know who doesn't want it? Ron and Monica. Where's the rift coming from? Because right now you have 3 propositions. Vic wins and his fans go on to support him. Some of his detractors maybe say, well, I guess it all was BS, and maybe come there. And then a bunch of other people are left butthurt in the background. Or Monica and Ron win. A lot of Vic's fans still support him. He goes and does some other endeavor. And then the people who didn't like him continue to not like him and spit on the corpse of his career, or try to. Or you have the third proposition. The parties get together and heal that rift and try to bring the anime community together after one side of this separated it. And which one have I been pushing for the whole time, most fervently? Settle. 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 Just settle. Why would you go through a lawsuit in this? You can't afford this. The community doesn't need this. Settle the lawsuit, and you can actually accomplish your goals. I don't get it. I don't get it. Because any honest look, I mean, I'm gonna laugh through all of the motion practice. I'm going to laugh through all the stupidity that they're putting out there. And we're going to talk about some of that in a minute. I'm going to laugh and I'm going to keep VIX fans as riled up and angry as possible, right? Get mad, y'all. Get so angry that you go out there on Twitter and laugh at people. Get so angry that you come to my show and laugh with me. Because that's what I ask for every night. Be entertained and laugh and maybe learn something from time to time. I'm going to do that. But what I would love is for them to settle. You realize, of course, John, if they settle and this goes away, I can have Vic on my show. I can talk to him without people thinking I'm his attorney. I can just enjoy the relationship I've built up with him and share that with people on YouTube and maybe make some fun other content and talk about anything other than this lawsuit. That's what we can do if they'd settle. And I am relatively certain that Vic has expressed over and over again a desire to reach some sort of settlement. And that's been rebuffed over and over again by Monica and Ron. Think about it, man. Really, think about it. Okay. Well, one thing, sorry, that was a tangent. One thing that I'm good at is having liars expose themselves as liars live to thousands of people. Happened a couple times. Young Bluth, Shane, let's see, Perfection, Tonka. You know, that's some of those scalps. But I don't always do that. They do that, right? They do that favor for themselves. The one guy I thought was going to get creamed on my show was the pedophile, the guy with child porn, Tito. And Tito actually had a great conversation with me, despite being someone who at the time was really nasty on Twitter. So it doesn't always end up that way. Tito was pretty honest on the show, and we had a great chat. It's amazing how that works when you're cordial with people. Anyway, in the end, I just want things to go back to at least some form of normality. Seeing a big rift in the fan base, oh, I was reading this earlier, is saddening and it scares, just, I wish the parties would get together and settle. I'd already read that. Sorry, I boomered that. Back to it. I'm already having to deal with the rift in the Star Wars community in recent years. Well, that's because those movies are trash. Now it's the anime community. John, it's going to come to every community. I talked about this at Matsuri. This is not like a partisan political issue. There are people coming into these communities to separate them. Those people have involved themselves very quickly on your side of this. I've got a picture of one. You want to see? Here's one. I've got a photo portrait of one of them. They're coming. Whatever community you're in, they're coming. Just ask any of the communities. They're already there. Star Wars. So yeah, of course it's in Star Wars. It's going to be in anime. It's going to be in Game of Thrones. It's going to be everywhere. It's disheartening to me, especially since I am fresh up and starting voice actor. Seeing all this hate in the community is not something someone fresh in the industry wants to have to deal with. I guess. Unless you navigate it well. Okay, so here's a question. What's the ideal remedy for you? Especially if said comments eventually start getting targeted towards you just for being a VA. Well, who targets you just for being a VA? Right? Who targets you? But this is my question, right? What's the ideal remedy? Over and over. I want people to tell me the solution because looking for them. Or in your opinion, better wording than for you. My personal opinion, RE, VAs, is don't call your fans rapists and rape supporters even if you disagree with them. than them. Oh my God. No matter what I say, I probably don't know what would be the essential ideal. Well, no one does, do they? I mean, I've proposed it. Maybe settle. Maybe stop calling your fans rapists. Maybe stop calling your fans rape apologists. Maybe stop calling your fans who come out with their story of sexual assault fake just because they disagree with you. You know, maybe those things, but I don't know. Let's see. I probably don't know what would be essentially ideal. With things at this point they're at, no one thing is going to be ideal for both sides. I mean, maybe. Maybe. You're that defeatist? I think a lot of people in these communities have lost sight of who this is all for. Who's it for? You know this. It's for the fans. The biggest thing that I say people need to do is cool their heads off a little, at least a little, and they need to not be so quick to attack each other. I agree. I usually at least try to reason with the person as best I can, or at least give a different take on stuff based on what they said, and give them my opinion on said subject with what I know or feel. I can jive with that. Maybe it's a good time to attempt to cool things down. And oh, how I want to do that. But the other side keeps doing this weird stuff. This stuff we're going to get into in just a few minutes, because this chat's almost done. It's almost done. After 4 months of heated stuff being done or said, I believe that is best. We need a cool down period. Already too much stress out there these days, especially with problems like our political mess or economy issues. This is a point where I wasn't at my phone for a few minutes. All this stress builds up until people just snap, and I greatly fear the day when someone just snaps at a con or something. It's happened before many times. Has it? Has that actually happened? That's why security has gotten a lot tighter at cons now. Many cons that used to be a more personal experience are now much more strict. Hell, at RTX, aside from bag checks, we had to walk through a high dollar detector just to even go to the autograph room. Well, at Matsuri, security was great, but it wasn't security theater, right? They just had security and staff all over the place. It was like going through TSA. Well, that's unfortunate. Which is silly, because Matsuri's in what used to be at least one of the most dangerous cities in the country, but I don't think it is anymore. Okay. Just to let you know, I went ahead and deleted that tweet of mine about the alcohol because I know it was a misjudgment and a silly thing to post. Props to you, John. That was really nice. Hey, thank you. Yeah, hopefully people can keep perspective and not try to start stuff at cons. Something I say all the time. Yeah, like that one guy towards Jamie tried doing. I know what you're saying there. You don't ask or say stuff like that at a panel at a con. That's just bringing unnecessary drama where it isn't wanted. People go to cons to have fun and de-stress. That's why I didn't have him on my show. Don't want to encourage that attention. In the same way with Dominique Sky at KamehaCon. What happened first, by the way? Remember, because notice, and John, this is not your fault, I guess. But notice where you went. You went to the Jamie incident, not the Dominique Sky incident, which happened first, and Dominique Sky had 2 people filming that encounter. And she improperly obtained a guest pass. So, why'd you go to the one guy, kind of socially awkward guy, maybe on the spectrum a little bit, and that's not meant as a pejorative. I think he even said that. Why'd you go to that guy rather than the person who at least says they're not on the spectrum and is a cosplayer and con frequenter who definitely attempted to do something with cameras rolling at KamehaCon? Why didn't you go to that one? Why didn't you talk about that one? And his many comments about Jamie before the con incident definitely show that he had a deep hatred for her. Sure. Aside from causing drama, asking guests stuff like that at their panels is also very disrespectful. And now, where's the address of Dominique Sky? Why you just left that one? Yep, I agree. Because I do. My response, once I found out it was real, was don't do that. I think I said exactly that on the show. Don't do that. Seems this girl's story is at least some valid truth to it now. Wait. I think I know who this is. And, oh, and he says, I'm just effing with you, buddy. Oh, okay. Maybe not then. Oh, now, you're talking, on here. I never once accused you of the Dallas shooting stuff. No, you didn't. Toye did. Ron Toye did. Not you. Ron Toye did. I have actually talked to Vic before, by the way. Met him twice, buddy. Monica was still signing stuff when people came up. I just waited until she was done with them. Most of my talking was with Ron. There you go. Thank you for covering for Monica there. So, we will be gone thought this chat. Thank you for participating, John. I appreciate it. I don't appreciate being taken out of context. Not at all. And you spammed those chats over several threads. So there you go. That's the thing. Notice all the nastiness and vitriol from me in that, which was I thought was actually rather nice, and I don't really care to be painted as someone doing something different than what was happening. So there you go. All right, we got a couple more chats here. Sexy bearded Viking wizard, the BA Aussie says, "G'day, mate. If you'd like to take a break from this topic, I'd be keen to offer an opposing view." That's probably offensive, sorry. "I'd be keen to offer an opposing view of regulated parking from the perspective of an ex-parking patrol officer enjoying the streams regardless." Hey, thanks, buddy. That'd be interesting. McLean's Crispy Buns, Mr. Clean's Crispy Bun says, "Second dono tonight. The Kick Vic side escalated everything to where it is now. I stand with Vic isn't 100% innocent, but what we want was the truth. But Kick Vic and Veronica refused to give consent or even accurate stories. How embarrassing, John." There you go. Mythos, my Streamlabs does work. Yes. Yes, it does. Nick Thorne says, "Okay, finance is secured back to the usual. However, got to go back to the beginning. I had some family time. Out of curiosity, though, if you and Ty were against each other in court, how calm would that case be if y'all could?" I'll tell you, both Ty and I have very similar philosophies on dealing with opposing counsel. We'll treat them well as long as we're treated well. If opposing counsel is civil to me and doesn't pull any shenanigans, I'm rather polite. Unfortunately, I'm usually dealing with prosecutors, so it doesn't happen. Other than that, I mean, you know, that's how it go. Travis the Bard says, "Vic is a nice guy. I saw his panel, and I also saw the For the Fans panel. The stream, maybe I'll go next year. I want to see Vic." Oh, and just so you guys know, Tug uploaded the full For the Fans panel that was recorded separately from Matsuri, because Matsuri's stream didn't have, like, the first half. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Okay, yeah, he changed the name to John Matthews. That's great. Okay. All right. So I'm done with that subject. But let's see. Where do we go from here? I guess we go to Transcript, right? Let's go to Transcript. So reporter's record. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see your Mythos. I see your chat in there. Okay. So this is the 31st day of May. This is a transcript. It is 29 pages. We'll try and go through it very quick. We're not going to go through all of this. We're not going to go through. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on most of this, but I do want you guys to have the full picture of what the court has recorded for what happened. 31st day of May, the following proceedings came to be heard in the above entitled matter. In numbered cause before the Honorable Judge P. Chupp, Judge presiding, held in Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Texas. Reported by machine shorthand. So there's the attorneys. We've got Ty Ty Beard, Jim Bullock, Carrie Christie are present. And then we've got Casey Eric and Andrea Perez. Casey, formerly of Kessler Collins, now somewhere different. Chronological index, citation, appearances, proceedings, adjournment, and then reporter certificate. So here's the proceedings. So I'm not going to add inflection to this. I'll read them normally. I'll read them normally. But if my voice happens to give like a certain inflection to something, it's not intentional. I'm trying to just read through these pretty in a regular voice. I'm not making a statement. I wasn't there, so I can't tell you how they said things. We can only address what they said. This is useful because if they had to introduce something from this hearing, the finder of fact or the trier of fact or whoever it is would have to go off of what's written and whatever inflection the a reader might use. So there you go. The court. Y'all can be seated. Y'all are fighting over some depositions, right? Eric, that's right, Your Honor. That's the point of this hearing. Bullock, actually, that's not correct. We have asked the court for a confidentiality order. Court, okay, hold on. Okay. So we're not going to talk about depositions at all? Well, I think, are we here to talk about some depositions? We might. Okay, so you are not going to mention the word deposition to me? I will, yes, sir. Now, notice, you can pick up the tenor of this, right? The judge is pissed. Judges don't want discovery spats. The Texas rules have actually been, over the past couple years, so expanded to stop this from happening. And to make it it's really hard to resist discovery in Texas. They're so broad because they just want all the attorneys to know, get it out. Get it out. Get the deposition, or get the discovery done. Stop fighting over deposition. You're going to have to produce it anyway. Courts have been very clear on that. So fighting over this has been court's already mad. Let's start over. Are we here to talk about some depositions? Yes, sir. Great. Okay. So defendant noticed some depositions and plaintiff has filed a motion to quash. Is that correct? That's correct. Yes. And then plaintiff also would like to have enter a confidentiality and protective order. I assume you wanted to quash a deposition. We did, but the date came and went. Okay. We are amenable to rescheduling the deposition. Our purpose here today is to ask the court for a confidentiality order. The court, okay, and you oppose it. Mr. Eric. We do, Your Honor, for several reasons. Do you want me to get into it now? Sure. Again, judges don't want to be here. No one wants to be in court. Eric, they don't attach or include any evidence with their request, which is required. We cite the case law that clearly states that if you want a protective order, you need to show and demonstrate a specific reason for doing that. They don't attach any kind of evidence. And also, Your Honor, the bigger picture behind all of this is that this case is very, very unique. And it involved anime actors. I mean, if you know what the court. No, I mean, I read it. And I mean, I think know what that means. Judge is not an anime. He is not a weeb. It's little cartoons of some sort. And they're Japanese usually, right? I'm sorry. That's the old manest answer you could get for anime. It's little cartoons of some sort. There you go. The court, yes. Eric says, so here's the issue. Is that we have, for a very long time, months and months, we have their party or their group talking about this on Twitter. Their party or their group. So's yours. Obviously, if you're a public figure and they have to talk about the case, and they're often asked about this case, that's not, Casey, that's not words that make sense. Obviously, if you're a public figure and they have to talk about the case and they're often asked about this case, who are you talking about? We don't want a confidentiality order because, number one, it's already out there. The genie is out of the bottle. Well, shove Christina Aguilera back in. This case has been talked about over and over. There's even a YouTube show from a lawyer in Minnesota. What up? It's complicated, I know. You can see the judge like, it's complicated, I know. But they keep talking about this, so it's all out there. And certainly our clients are, my client, Monica Rial, she has to talk about this case. Why? Why, Casey? Why does she have to? Vic hasn't had to. Listen to how disingenuous this is. For just a second. My client is required to talk about the case. Vic has not said a word about it that I can find. The only thing even close is that he confirmed that there was a case and that there was a GoFundMe. That's it. Other than that, radio silence from Vic. She has to talk about this case. She makes a living in the public realm. So I think a confidentiality order would be a very untenable thing to do. Really? And in addition to that, we have people that are giving statements, sworn statements. The court says a gag order is different than a confidentiality order. Right? He's not saying Monica can't talk about the case. So Casey's conflating here. A gag order would be you can't talk about the case. A confidentiality order says these things are confidential. That's the difference. Confidentiality order is an order usually that is some type of sensitive documents like tax returns or something, and those are confidential. He's not asking for a gag order, so I think you can still talk about it. Miracle. Eric says, my understanding is they want a confidentiality order on the deposition of the plaintiff. And our position is, well, you filed a lawsuit. You're claiming defamation. You can't take the good, only the good and not take the bad with it. But isn't that what they've wanted the whole time? Now, we want to be able to obviously use that testimony in the court proceedings. We don't want to disseminate it in the public domain. We want to use it in the court proceedings. Look at that. Then what's the problem with a confidentiality order, Casey? Because you can look at Meyer versus Wade. They had a confidentiality order on everything. Not just the deposition, not just one deposition, but everything. And yet they're still able to use the depositions in the proceedings. Because once you use them in the proceeding, that's no longer confidential. It's just everything else that is. Very disingenuous. But again, Your Honor, we just don't feel that that is even practical to have a confidentiality agreement with the fact that we have public figures that are they're going to talk about this case. I don't see how we can prevent them from doing that. I don't see how we can stop them from talking about a specific document in a case. Oh, I don't know. Only everybody in a lawsuit probably has had to do this at some point in time, Casey. How could they manage? Who is the public figure, says the judge. Eric says Vic Mignogna. Court says okay. Eric says, and my client Monica Rial. Court says okay. Now, this doesn't actually mean that Vic and Monica are public figures. Not at all. This just means that for the purposes of this argument, that's the position Mr. Eric is taking. But it's not really a fact specific, or that's not a crucial fact to a confidentiality order. Casey is, again, treading this line between confidentiality and gag order. I can keep saying it's disingenuous, but you get it. They're both anime voice actors. The judge had never heard of anime before today. Presumably. They're little Japanese and still doesn't understand it. And here they are saying that they're public figures, I guess. All right. That seems like a stretch of the public figure doctrine to me. They're both anime voice actors, and so it's a new world for me too, and they have a Twitter presence, they have an online presence. Interesting that he's trying to use his own client's behavior to impute behavior upon Vic, which does not exist. I would be hammering that personally. I don't know if Bullock hammers on it. I would absolutely hammer on that. Blaine20 says Ron is merely a public nuisance. Careful. Public nuisance is a crime, and that's defamatory. Court says, do you have a copy of the confidentiality or protective order that you want? Because I didn't see one attached. Bullock says, no, sir. We proposed it, and we emailed it to counsel yesterday as a proposed agreed order. The only thing I changed was the title of it. Instead of being agreed protective order to a discovery confidentiality, may I approach, Your Honor? Sure. So he's going to go show him. Here you are, right? I changed the title. Here it is. And when he's saying I only changed the title, he's letting Casey know that he's seen this document. It's just a different title. And I would like to clarify some of the statements my opponent made when it's my turn. The judge. Okay, hold on. So I assume that any motions that are filed in this case that would require the use of deposition testimony excerpts in it, they would have to do it under a temporary seal? Yes, sir. That's what we would propose as a temporary seal. Blaine 20 says in Minecraft. Good cover, buddy. The court says, and then you're going to file a motion to seal the case, I guess, and notify the newspapers and everybody in the world that you want to seal the case? Mr. Bullock says, if we have to go through the process under Rule 176, yes, we would have to do that. That is distinct from this request. So that's not what we're asking. This is just a request that would govern the party's use of information that they glean during discovery. And if something is confidential, you know, the court mentioned tax returns. There are also non-party identities that are... Look at this. Look at what Bullock brings up. Okay? I want you to remember this. There are also non-party identities that are going to have to be brought up because one of the defendants, Mr. Toy, has said that he knows hundreds, if not thousands, of people who have been who have complaints. Well, if that's true, we have to investigate that. Those people are entitled, because they have not put themselves into this case, put themselves into the public forum, to have those identities protected. Remember that, because who is accusing who of wanting the victims' names public? It was never Vic or Ty or Jim or me saying we want the victims' names public. It was Casey, Ron, and Monica, and we're going to get to that. Now, I said they will be public because they will be public. Toye has said over and over, we want it all out there. I said, that seems weird. Little weird that you guys want their names out there. I didn't think they would want that. But okay, let's see. Where do we go? So the court says, yeah, I don't think that. I agree with you in the sense that I think all cases ought to be like that, but we do have open courts and anybody can do this. Mr. Bullock says, correct. Judge says, and so I don't think there's anything special about this case other than actual confidential information. And if there is that, I think that's great. Bullock says, correct. The court says, but it's Bullock. Another example, court, don't cut me off, right? If he says in his deposition, I don't really like doing anime, and you think that's going to be put on Facebook, Bullock says, correct. Court says, so what am I doing? So the judge is trying to figure out what would be embarrassing for Vic in this deposition. I don't think that this would be what Vic would say, but maybe, I don't know. Bullock says, so the process in this order would be if one party, for example, and we're not specifically asking it for the deposition, we're asking it for the case. There may be documents, tax returns, for example. Defendant Funimation, they conducted an investigation which they told our client was confidential. Presumably, they're going to want to maintain the confidentiality of that investigation. This order would do that. To the extent that party disagrees with the defamation, they can ask the court to, in a sense, declassify it, and then we could have the discussion with the court about whether that is information that should be protected under the order or not. This is not uncommon. I want to point that out. But the order sets the framework that we have, you know, they may ask a question or we may ask a question during the deposition that the other side doesn't want publicly disseminated. Right? Right? Like, Ron, are you a cuck? When did you start being a cuck? That's a better question. We're not asking to chill anybody's First Amendment rights. We're not asking for a gag order. We're asking for a framework that allows them to say that that is confidential and then, in a sense, maintain the confidential information until the court can decide whether or not it is properly described as confidential. The court says, what does prior restraint mean? So he's making a First Amendment plea right here. Bullock says, prior restraint. The judge, I think we might have learned that in law school a long time ago. Isn't that saying that I'm preventing you from disseminating something before you've done it, and therefore I'm violating your First Amendment rights or something like that? Bullock says, something like that, Your Honor. I think you're on the right track. That's very nice, Jim. It's very nice. Court says, okay. Mr. Eric says, and it's also not workable for us because we have witness statements that are coming out from women who are going to talk about their experience with this individual, and we don't want a confidentiality order, and we don't want a protective order for that, and neither do they. Remember this. This is important. Okay, let's read that again. We have witness statements that are coming out from women that are going to talk about their experience with this individual. And we don't want a confidentiality order, and we don't want a protective order for that, and neither do they. Next, this is from Casey Eric, attorney for the defendants, Ron and Monica. When they say I'm lying, remember this. They want their names out there, and they want their names known. So we want the ability to put that information out there, and it could be a part of our pleadings. So that is another concern that we have. We want the ability to put that information out there, and it could be a part of our pleadings. They absolutely plan on leaking this information. They absolutely do. Casey said it on the record. They want their names out there, and they want their names known. Never have I suggested that these women would want their names out there. I'm baffled by the concept that victims in a heated environment would want their names out there. No way do I believe that to be true, but Casey Eric said it on the record in court, representing Monica and Ron and saying, we want this. Remember this. And there's a lot more background, Your Honor. And just so you know that so far, every time we have seemed to file something in this case, it seems to go on a YouTube video or it's on a Twitter feed. Yeah, you filed it in the case. That's public record. The confidentiality order would prevent it from being part of the public record until the parties or the court got to stamp it as part of the public record. And you know it. So this idea, it's a little disingenuous that the court says, am I on YouTube right now? Mr. Eric says, you'll probably be discussed later today. But yesterday we filed a response to this motion, and the very next day it's part of the 3.5-hour YouTube video. And I'm even mentioned in the court. Was it any good? Oh, I love it. I love it. Mr. Eric says, it's all right. It's entertaining. Hope you're still watching, Casey. Hope you're still watching, buddy. Here we go. Caboose 9K, thanks for the donation, bud. Bullock says, but we have no control over that. And you don't, Ty. Suck it, buddy. You can't stop the stream. You can't stop the flow of information. All right. Mr. Eric says, well, whatever. But the information is getting, we disagree with that, Your Honor. We think the information is getting there from counsel. The information is getting there sometimes from counsel, and most of the time from the public filings that I purchase from researchtexas.gov. But nothing privileged comes to me. So, sorry. The court. By the third drink, the Texas whiskey, like, all that acrid flavor, it's gone. Court says, let me ask you this. What do you want in this lawsuit? Do you want money? Bullock says, actually, what we want is to defend our client's name and get his reputation repaired. Court says, can a court do that? Mr. Bullock says, if the parties will agree to issue some joint statements, we might actually be able to get there pretty quickly. Now he's talking settlement. The court can't force people to talk. Court says, what do you want them to say? That he's not a bad guy or something to that effect? Bullock says something to that effect. Something to the effect that they've called him a predator. They've called him a sexual harasser. They've called him all sorts of things that are not true. Now this man now has this cloud of being called a predator, an attacker, an assaulter. And I mean, in this notebook, we've got 200 pages of tweets from Mr. Toye and Mrs. Rial. Almost 400 pages of tweets. Calling him names and saying he's a child molester. I mean, these are things that the court says, but what can the court do at the end of the day? You're going to have a jury charge. Mr. Bullock says, yes. The court says, and the jury charge is going to say what that is going to fix that? Bullock says, well, two things, Your Honor. We're asking for monetary damages, right? By the way, this is how courts repair a reputation. So monetary damages are compensation for the damage to your reputation. Because now it will be harder for you to obtain business that you would have otherwise gotten because your reputation is damaged. So that's what the monetary compensation is for. Zero the Slayer says, this court record is getting meta AF. Storm Knight MD says, you can't stop the signal, Casey. All right. So we're asking for monetary damages. The court says, okay. Bullock says, but what we would really like to have is an injunction against further tweeting about, these things about our client. Court says a lot of people would probably like that. Bullock says, if we can't get that, then damages are the only thing the court can really do. I mean, if we could work out a deal with the other side, that would be fantastic. But I think if we can't, then the jury is left to award damages. The court says, do your clients want to tweet about him a lot more? Casey, we have told them not to. The court says, well, then you've already accepted their agreement. Casey says, there you go, that's right. The court, by the way, wrong answer from Casey Eric on that point. That was not a wise response. It was a smart-ass response to a judge. The judge says, I mean, seriously, if that's what they want, and you've told your clients not to do it anymore, and they're okay with that, then aren't we done? That's the question, isn't it? Aren't they done? But they're not doing it, right? Mr. Eric says, and also, I don't know my clients are the only ones here. The entire universe of anime tweets about this individual, and they have been doing it for the last decade. Court says, I don't either. I mean, it gets expensive the more people you add to a lawsuit, but Mr. Eric says, right, I know, but it's... Bullock says, we have the past to deal with too, Your Honor. Going forward, yes, it sounds like that may... Oh, I'm sorry. Because he didn't mean to talk over Casey, right? Judge says, I'm listening. I'm trying to figure out... I mean, I doubt you have drafted your jury charge because it's so early in the case, but I'm just trying to... I'm wondering what the end game is for this. I mean, is there a question on a jury charge where I can enjoin them from speech? Bullock says, well, we can enjoin them from defaming him. They can still speak, but we could also get damages against them. We have asked for over $1 million in damages. Court says, I mean, there's stuff said about me that I consider defamatory, but I doubt others necessarily would. You know, you get somewhere on that, and you already said they're public figures, right? Now, Casey did. And so then that gets really hard because they're public figures. So Bullock says, so these tweets, Your Honor, and it's not just the tweets, Your Honor. Yes. They have communicated with these conventions, and they have convinced these conventions to cancel their contracts with them. We're talking about actual monetary loss of money. Evil Bunny says, you need to add court-recognized YouTuber to your YouTube and Twitter bios. Mr. Eric says, what started all this, Your Honor, is that Mr. Mignana was fired because of the sexual harassment allegations. Court says, allegedly. Allegedly, of course, right. Court says, I think this is a motion to seal. Bullock says, Judge, we're not trying to seal anything. Judge says, but I think it is, because I think confidentiality is limited, because if you're asking basically to seal everything and they cannot disclose anything that is in this and nobody can see it further. Bullock says, we're happy for the opportunity to designate it as confidential, and there are specific uses for information or specific disclosure parameters for information to be designated as confidential. See, and this is weird because the courts already do have this. Like, in limited fashion. A social security number, a credit card number, a bank account number, or income information, stuff like that is routinely pre-marked as confidential. The court has a mechanism to mark things as confidential. And then there's a mechanism to oppose it and to make it public. So the court says, and the same thing for a motion to seal. Bullock says, except we're not asking to seal the court record. Court says, well, I understand that because then you've got to post and all that stuff, and everybody will know that you did it. And the Star Telegram might want to come down and see what's going on. Bullock says, I'm sorry, what? I said the newspaper might want to come down and see what's going on. Bullock says, exactly. Court says, but if you do this, you don't have to deal with the newspaper bothering you. Eric says, Your Honor, it's a little problematic here because their motion doesn't ask to seal it. Right, it doesn't. There's no request to seal. The court, no, I know it doesn't, but that's the effect of it, really. Eric says, right. Nick Hex says, why are Moronica so insistent on having all of their info public? What do they stand to benefit from that other than appearing to appear virtuous by remaining transparent? I don't think they actually want it public, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show it to you. Casey Eric misrepresented to the court. Or he's misrepresenting now and just stalling. And we'll talk about my thoughts on it as we're getting there. We're getting there. Court says, because any document that you would file in this case that you received through the depositions or through discovery are going to have to be under temporary seal. They would have to be if you filed them. Otherwise, they're a public record. Eric says, right. Court says, and so you're getting to the point where it's sealed anyway. So why not just do it all and seal the whole thing? Eric says, for the reasons we've said, Your Honor. Court says, I don't disagree with you. I think if stuff is embarrassing to you, I don't think that makes it confidential. Eric says, correct. Court says, I think stuff that's confidential is your business dealings and your tax records and things like that. Eric says, correct. Court says, so if he says that I really don't like anime in his deposition, I think they can post that on Facebook. Bullock says, correct, absolutely. Court says, then what is this order? Bullock says, we're talking about tax returns. We're talking about Funimation's investigation. We're talking about the identity of people who have not come forward that may or may not want to be public domain. Court says, hold on. Casey says, here's a solution. We do it on a case-by-case basis then. Hey, Casey, that's what a confidentiality order is. It's actually a case-by-case basis where you say it's confidential and then we either agree to make it public or we don't. And then the court decides. That's the case-by-case nature of it. I mean, we don't need to enter an order today that says the case is sealed or, we're guessing on what's confidential. I haven't seen any tax returns. There have been no documents produced in the case that tell me that they want to be confidential. So if they have things they want to keep confidential, why not put the burden on them to come back to this court and say, we want this to be sealed, this specific thing? The court says, I mean, we have cases where they have proprietary information and we do confidentiality agreements and everybody understands that. Eric says, right. Well, let's do that when that comes up. They tried. That was the Rule 11 agreement. Not just at the very beginning, we have a confidentiality order that we don't know what it applies to. If they have tax records, it applied to Vic's deposition until the TCPA, and you know it. If those are produced, then they can file a motion at that time. We want to make these sealed. We want to seal those records. I doubt I'll object to that. Bullock says, well, so I think to the extent that we don't have a confidentiality framework in place, the court says, you're not going to answer a question. Bullock says, we're just not going to answer the question at a deposition. Because remember, this confidentiality order, no matter what Casey is saying, is intended to apply to the deposition of Vic because they were going to do the deposition and then file the TCPA, right? That's what they're going to do. And then for their entire time up until that hearing, they're going to release segments of the deposition specifically to embarrass Vic, and he said so in court. We want to release this information coming from women who have had encounters with him. And the women he's talking about, make no mistake, are liars like Professional Contrarian, right? Who's going to come out and lie about it. And we'll talk more about discovery and what's in there. Like that one lady from Virginia in 1989 or whatever, who's going to say they're going to try and just drag this through the mud. That's what they're going to talk to Vic about in deposition. It's clear that that's their plan, and then it's clear to try and get him to say something embarrassing about it, or say something condemning about it, or take a phrase out of context and release that to the public. They flat out said it on the record in court. So here we go. So Bullock's just saying, you know, fine, if we don't have a confidentiality order, we're not going to answer it in deposition. There you go. Court says, right, I agree with that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Typically in deposition, you have to answer everything. The judge is flat out saying, look, if there's something that we think is confidential, we're not going to answer. And the judge's like, yep, right. Very strange. Very strange. So Bullock says, we'll just say we're not going to answer that question. So we'll be back here anyway. This was seeking a framework that there would at least be a process in place to deal with that situation. Court says, what category do you think that's going to come up that is confidential? Bullock says, well, we've got, if I might, Your Honor. Court says, yeah, go ahead. Bullock, one of the tweets. Oh, I hope I can do this. Background on this, if I understand right, Bullock is setting up a projector with the tweets right now. And that's just drawn from the context here where the court says, I'll get you going here. Hold on. It should be coming on now. So they're probably turning on some sort of projector or attaching the computer and getting it set up to the screen, okay? If I had to guess. I don't know, but that's my inference. Bullock says, okay, there are constant references to sexual assault, but I think the court's question was, what do you think is going to come up? Well, I think we're going to be talking about the terms of our client's contracts with Funimation, the terms of his contracts with the conventions. These are third-party contracts. Court says, I think y'all agree to that probably. Mr. Eric says, yes, on a case-by-case basis. I was looking at this. I mean, this is a tweet. I have no idea how. How do we make that confidential? Court says it's probably already out there. Bullock says this is already out there. The point is, Mr. Toye is a prolific tweeter. That sounds funny, but he is. If counsel asks my client a question about some information at a deposition, we are faced with not answering the question, and in which case we are brought back here, or which I think is more conducive to the pursuit of justice and open to discovery, we answer the question, designate the answer as confidential, in which case Mr. Toye can't do this. I mean, it's almost like they have someone who is consistently defaming someone else, allegedly, and they're trying to prevent further defamation. Mr. Eric says, Your Honor, I think the problem is that he's going to be asking embarrassing questions about his sexual behavior, his sexual encounters with women. These are things that our witnesses are already going to give statements about under oath. It's embarrassing. Fine, it's embarrassing. No, it's false and embarrassing. That's the difference. But that's not grounds to make it confidential. That's not confidential information. It's embarrassing information. It's not confidential. There's no business privity. Court says the only two things I've heard so far are the two contracts. Is there other information other than those two contracts that you're worried about? Mr. Eric says, really, that's it. Court says, when is the deposition? Well, it was scheduled for yesterday. When are we going to do it? Bullock says, we're willing to work it out and find a spot for them. Mr. Mignana is out of town. Mr. Eric says, we noticed it a month ago, and we've had, the court says, where do the parties live? Bullock says, Mignana lives in Grapevine. Mr. Eric says, our clients are in the Dallas area. Court says, you can do it in the jury room. And if y'all have an issue, you can just ask me. Bullock says, that would be great. That would be great. The court says, okay. And then we don't have to worry about it. Bullock says, right. And we're willing to reschedule. I know the defendant slipped in a motion to compel in their response to our motion. There was no conference over that. And court says, well, let's conference right now. We're all here together. Bullock says, yes, we're willing to reschedule the depositions. When do you want to do it? Your Honor, we gave dates, a number of dates in June for our clients. The court said, let's get them nailed down right now. What about I saw there were some emails back and forth, I think, about the document request. And he said, don't worry about, or one y'all said, don't worry about the document request. Eric says he did. Bullock says, we'll renotice. The subpoena was inadvertently attached. Court says, I'll tell you what I have. I've got substantial trials set every week in June, which I'll be here, assuming they don't settle. And so if you can't go into our jury room, I'll find you another room at the courthouse to do it in. Bullock says, okay. Eric says, we have a request. We did notice the deposition first. We want to go first. We want to plan to go first. We'll go immediately after, even the same day. That's fine. Mr. Beard says, Your Honor. So enter the Beard. Court says, are you a lawyer? Yes, sir. Okay. I'm Ty Beard. I'm sorry I didn't. Okay. I thought you were the client. Okay. I'm senior partner of our firm, so perfect. Okay. You should be standing up doing this. Mr. Beard says, we have no problem with the order in which the depositions are taken. Court says, okay. Mr. Beard says, but here is the problem. They're entitled to file an anti-slap motion, and what Mr. Eric and I went back and forth was, I don't mind them going first. We never agreed to that, but I don't want them filing the anti-slap motion 5 minutes after we give our deposition, and then the discovery stay kicks in, and they can put the contents of that deposition out on the internet. Frankly, if they don't want a confidentiality order, that's fine. Remember? Because they've said over and over, Ty and Vic definitely want a confidentiality order. They really want it. That's all they want. They wanted the confidentiality order. If they don't want a confidentiality order, that's fine as long as we get to depose them, because then we have mutually assured destruction. Ty talks like a nerd even in court. The court says, okay, yeah, he's not going to file an anti-slap motion prior to your client getting to, or you getting to depose their client. Mr. Eric says, and we agree with that. Court says, then we're done. Right? That's it. All they asked for. The Beard says, then we're done. Court says, okay. Then there's some off-the-record discussion. Bullock says, do we want to pin down the deposition dates? Court says, okay, if y'all want to do the deposition here, that's fine. And then I'll rule on real objections, not just form or whatever, but real objections that are going to slow this down. Instructions not to answer, let's say. So they can still say objection to form on every stupid question. But if they have a real objection, they can raise it with the judge. Bullock says, okay. Court says, okay, I'll be happy to do that, and y'all need to let Jeff know so we can figure out where to put y'all. Beard says, Your Honor, actually, as long as we can do the depositions, we don't have to do it here. Court says, I want your guy to answer all of the questions that you object to, or that you instruct him not to answer. I want to rule on those right then. Beard says, right. I guess what I'm saying, Your Honor, is that I don't anticipate objecting to anything as long as we get to depose their clients. Court says, well, what was this confidentiality thing you just gave me? Beard, well, that was if they went first and then filed their anti-slap motion and put the discovery stay in place. Bullock says, well, it was also because tax returns contracts that we think it's best to have the deposition here. So if we have, so if we have a question that comes up that is controversial, we can ask the court to rule on it right there. Court says, okay, David can show y'all the jury room so you can see what it looks like. Okay, y'all check that out. End of proceedings. So there you go. That's the transcript. That's the court record. All right? That's the court record. Beard has stated over and over, stated it, I believe, on this show. He also stated it here. I've stated it, that the whole point of the confidentiality was their rather transparent plan to file an anti-slap after deposing Vic and before deposing Monica and Ron. And then they would have a bunch of time to smear him on the internet with that information. Now we've got an agreement not to do that on the record in court. But why did I really show this whole thing? The main thing, I show the whole thing for completeness. Oh yeah, here, let me just say, end of proceedings. And then here's a certificate from Christina Fett, the court reporter. Okay. So that's all of the pages of the document. Just so I'm not accused of leaving anything out, I did not do it. You can check the page numbers at the top right of every page when you watch the replay, or you can just trust me because, you know. But why did I talk about this? Casey Eric, on the record, said, we want their names out there. We want their stories out there. So do they. So do they. It was on May 31st. Now. What is this? All right. Just a moment. All right. Here we go. Ronald Toye's objections and responses to plaintiff's first interrogatories and requests for production. It's important to note that these did come in 1 day late. That's okay. I talked about this yesterday. Coming in a day late doesn't actually like invalidate them. Usually the objective is to get the responses. And most of the time, outside of heated things, being a day late, the other attorney's going to go, okay, this doesn't really impact us. Unless it does, unless you really needed it by that date for some critical filing or something like that. But in this case, I don't think that's true. So unless it specifically implicates a prejudice, being a day late is not a big deal. But here we go. The problem is not being a day late. The problem is being incomplete. So pursuant to Texas Rules of Civil Procedure, defendant Ron Toye serves the following objections and responses to plaintiff's first interrogatories and requests for production. All right. All right, all right. I certify that on June 10th, a true and correct copy of the foregoing document was served on plaintiff's counsel by electronic service in accordance with the Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 21A. I don't actually think that's true, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. I believe it came in on the 11th, though. Either way, if it did come in on the 10th, I apologize. That's his certification. That's his certification. So we'll go with that. And like I said, I don't think anybody's quibbling over 1 day. But yeah. All right. So here we go. Objections to definitions and instructions. Boring. Following responses, while based on diligent investigation by defendant and defendant's counsel, are necessarily supported only by those facts and writings presently and specifically known and readily available. Defendant has not completed his investigation for the facts related to the subject matter of this action, discovery, or his preparation for trial. Defendant therefore makes these responses without prejudice to his right to produce at any stages of these proceedings, including at trial, evidence of any facts or information that defendant may later discover. Defendant further reserves the right to change, amend, and/or supplement his responses with facts, information, or documents that he may discover that were omitted by inadvertence, mistake, or excusable neglect, and as additional facts are ascertained and contentions are made in this litigation. So they can add more stuff to discovery. This isn't everything. Defendant's responses and objections herein are made without waiving or intending to waive any objections as to the competency, relevancy, materiality, privilege status, or admissibility as evidence for any purpose of any document or information provided in response to first discovery requests or other subsequent discovery requests. B, the right to object on any ground to the documents or information produced in response to the interrogatories at any hearing or trial. Or C, the right to object on any ground at any time to demand a further response to the first discovery request. All such objections and grounds are expressly reserved and may be presented as appropriate throughout this dispute. Moreover, no incidental or implied admissions are intended by the responses below. Defendant objects to all definitions, terms, and instructions. Now, I hear that these statements are actually a problem. But not being an expert in Texas civil procedure, I can't tell you for sure. I'm going to try and get a clear answer on that, okay? Defendants object to all the definitions, terms, and instructions to the extent that they misstate or mischaracterize the relationship between defendant and any persons or entities, and attempt to impose any burden upon defendant greater than that required by Texas Rules of Civil Procedure. Defendant will comply with the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure and any applicable court orders or local rules of Tarrant County in responding to the first discovery request. Defendant objects to the first discovery request to the extent that that's the problem. They seek disclosure of information or documents protected by the attorney-client privilege, attorney work product doctrine, the party communications privilege, the investigative privilege, or any other applicable privileges or exemptions from discovery, including those relating to documents prepared in anticipation of litigation or in preparation of trial. Defendant's communications with its attorneys are privileged and fall outside the bounds of permissible discovery. Defendant objects to the first discovery request to the extent any specific request or interrogatory seeks information concerning trade secrets, confidential or proprietary information, or other sensitive information. Defendant objects to interrogatories or requests that utilize capitalized terms that fail to have specified definitions or appropriate reference points as vague and ambiguous. To the extent any document is responsive to more than one request, duplicate copies will not be produced, and the specific responses and objections below are expressly made subject to the preliminary objections. Okay. Objections and responses to interrogatories. All right, so these interrogatories were requested at the time of filing, at the time of service, technically. So we've got interrogatory number 1. Identify all persons who assist or participate in the answering of interrogatories served on you in the above numbered cause of action. Defendant objects to this interrogatory because it seeks privileged information, right? Because if they got attorney-client privilege, then it's privileged. Subject to and without waiving the aforementioned objection, defendant answers as follows. Defendant and defendant Real. Well, I'm guessing Casey Eric also did, and that's silly to say that he didn't because he signed the documents, but okay. Interrogatory number 2. Identify each instance of the quote, at least 4 assaults, and the quote, at least 4 accounts you and plaintiff committed in the tweets you posted to @RonToye on January 31st, 2019, February 1st, 2019, and February 21st, 2019. So these are 3 specific tweet dates and some pretty specific phrasing. Answer. Defendant objects to this interrogatory because it seeks to have defendant prematurely marshal all of his evidence. Well, no, not at all, actually. Defendant further objects to this interrogatory because it seeks information that is in the possession of plaintiff, may be publicly accessible, and or equally accessible to plaintiff. How would the plaintiff know which 4 assaults and which 4 accounts RonToye is talking about? So that's BS. And then defendant further objects to this interrogatory because it assumes facts not in evidence. So they're going to say, they're going to claim, I guess, that he didn't make those tweets or that those tweets aren't in evidence. Okay. Subject to, without waiving the aforementioned objections, defendant answers as follows. See documents, Bates labeled Toye 1 through 42, attached here too. Listen, I have those documents. I'm not releasing them yet. Let me tell you why. Because I'm pretty sure they really want me to release those documents. And I'll just characterize them for you. Because you've actually seen all of them. They're just tweets. Just tweets from the same people that you've seen tweeting about this. So it's a circle jerk of evidence. And that's where you go. It's including tweets from the Michelle person, right? The Michelle person. Tweets from Marky, Rial, tweets from Professional Contrarian. They're all in there. That's what they are. Tweets from Sabbath. Tweets from Schemmel, I think, are in there. Tweets from a whole bunch of people are included in there. Someday, I may go through them. For now, I'm holding off because I think that they want me to sit there and read a bunch of tweets defaming Vic. You don't control my show, Casey Eric. So, there's that. That's what's in there. Like I said, it could become part of the record. Otherwise, at some point, I'll probably go through them. But what I'm going to do is I'll go through them when there's an appropriate response from both sides or there's appropriate context to it. And they're not just having me defame Vic for them. Because I think that's what they actually wanted me to do. So, see also Rial's objections. So yeah, and I'm only showing you Toye's objections and responses because this is what I'm talking about today, right? This confidentiality agreement that apparently doesn't exist. We're going to talk about it. It's mostly in Ron's responses. I think it's in one part of Monica's response, 1 or 2 of Monica's responses, but I'm not going to go through Monica's stuff either. You know, Ron's is the more important one because it's most voluminous, and it's also got the juice of what we're talking about. Going through Monica's would be relatively redundant. We'll do those at a different date, but not right now. But just to let you know, I mean, I have them. So, had them for a little while, actually. But I didn't want, like I said, I was hoping they would resolve this. All right, so interrogatory number 3. This is where it starts to get interesting. Identify each person you allege plaintiff assaulted in your answer to interrogatory number 2. That's 4 people, right? Defendant objects to this interrogatory because it seeks to have the defendant prematurely marshal all of his evidence. No, it doesn't. It asks you to identify 4 people you specifically allege that he assaulted. That's not all of your evidence. That's just the identification of 4 people. Because maybe they need to be added to a deposition list or subpoenaed. Defendant further objects because it seeks information that is in the possession of the plaintiff, except we don't know the identities, so who is it? May be publicly accessible and or equally accessible to plaintiff. Defendant further objects to this interrogatory because it assumes facts, not in evidence. Ron's mind is not accessible to anybody. Okay. Subject to and without waiving the aforementioned objections. Defendant answers as follows. Here's the answer. Remember what Casey Eric said and pay special attention to this. Because I don't know if you know this, but Ron has blamed me. And I'm lovable. Where is it? Ron has blamed lovable me. Let me find it. Where did it go? Where did it go? Hold on. I have it somewhere. Oh my goodness. Who sent it to me? Well, I think I posted it on Twitter earlier, so you'll just have to check. Ron blamed me, right? And other people blamed me, saying I threatened people, which I didn't. I did not threaten to name the victims. Casey and Ron and Monica said in court specifically that they wanted the victims' names, and so did the victims. Now, what does Casey put in his motion? As plaintiff stated in his communication through Twitter on February 8th, 2019. So this is Toye. Quote, there have been threats made towards others by fans in support of plaintiff. In order to ensure that such threats are not made towards other witnesses in this litigation, defendant proposes a Rule 11 agreement with counsel for plaintiff. That Rule 11 agreement will state that defendants will provide identifying information solely to counsel for plaintiff or in camera if to the court. Plaintiff's counsel agrees that none of the information so proffered will be shared publicly unless and until the information is to be used in a public pleading or argument in this matter. Defendant will provide the information requested in this interrogatory once the Rule 11 agreement is on file with the court. I'm sorry. What? I was told, and so was the court, and so was Ty, and so was Bullock, that they did not want that. And the information they're using for that is not me, but it's Ron on February 8th, which I think is before I made any videos about Vic, you lying sack of trash, Ron Toye, trying to pretend like you can blame me in public when your attorney is referencing your tweet that was available when he stated the exact opposite on the record in court. I didn't do this, you did. And your attorney is either lying to the court or lying to the plaintiff's attorneys. Which one is it, Ron? Because I'm not lying. I can back up exactly what I have said. Exactly. And someday you're gonna learn that, you little twerpy cuck. You can't back up anything, and I seem to be able to back up everything. So, who's the liar? Monica, Ron, Casey, Shane? Casey, if you're being paid to watch this, you've got to genuinely ask yourself how in God's name you plan to go in front of a court and present a February 8th tweet from your client that you had and say, Your Honor, we were just kidding when we told you we didn't want exactly what we're saying we want now, and the facts have not changed because here are the facts that we're providing, and they predate this by 5 months. How are you going to reconcile that, Casey? That's a real question for you, bud. That's a dumb move. That's a really dumb move. And you should know, you cannot hold ransom answers to discovery based on a Rule 11 agreement that you propose at the worst, the last day of discovery, if not a day late. You should know that. And do you want to know why you should know that, Casey? Weren't you bringing up the Tarrant County rules? What's this? What's this? I'm not a Texas lawyer, right? I'm not some big city lawyer, so maybe I'm wrong about it. Don't use all the fancy words. What's this? Can we get this a little bit? Objections to discovery. This Rule 3.12. This is the Tarrant County District Court local rules of civil procedure. Let's read through this rule again, and then we'll apply facts to law here and see what happens. Objections to discovery. Frivolous objections to discovery requests are subject to sanctions by the trial court. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. Including, example given, objections to identification of persons having knowledge of relevant facts and identification of testifying expert witnesses. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Let me read that again. Example given. In the text of the rule, example given, objections to identification of persons having knowledge of relevant facts. Now, let's apply facts to law, shall we? As plaintiff stated in his communication through Twitter, in order to ensure that such threats are not made towards other, defendant proposes a Rule 11 agreement with counsel for plaintiff. Now, they didn't say the word objection. They didn't say the word objection, but what are they doing? They're objecting. They're objecting subject to a confidentiality agreement that they swore to the court they didn't want. So anyway. Let's see. Where are we? Here. Sorry, I got a weird text. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, right? Let's go on. Interrogatory number 4. Identify each of the 4 of your friends you claim plaintiff forced himself on, as alleged in the tweet you posted to @RonToye, replying to @TheJoker, TWV et al. On February 6th. Same objections. Subject to and without waiving. Defendant will provide the information requested in this interrogatory once the Rule 11 agreement is on file with the court. Sorry, you don't get to hold discovery ransom for a Rule 11 agreement. The whole thing about a Rule 11 agreement is it has to be an agreement. You refused that agreement earlier, so it's done. Ty and Bullock said, okay, we don't have the confidentiality agreement. You refused it. You don't get to suddenly bring it back. And isn't it really interesting that Jim Bullock specifically said, there are names of victims that we don't think they would want out there. And Casey Eric specifically said, we do. And so do the victims. So, Interrogatory number 5. Identify each of the incidents described as, quote, stuff he has done in his hotel room multiple times in an office or two. In the tweet you posted to RonToye, repleting to @basednerd on February 6th. Defendant will provide the information requested in the interrogatory once the Rule 11 agreement is on file with the court. What? Damnation 3. Read what statement? Yeah, the plaintiff in the case is Vic. What are you talking about? It says plaintiff on the February 8th tweet. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, okay, let me read that tweet. What? That's got to be a typo. Because I don't think Vic made a February 8th tweet. But let's check. We can do this on the fly. Hold on, I'm looking. Oh, okay. You're right. You're right. That is Vic, that it has come to my attention that there have been threats made toward other fans in support of me. Let me be perfectly clear that I would never condone anything approaching this whatsoever. Call upon anyone doing it to stop this immediately. Thank you. Thank you for correcting that. Now, let me just say this. That does not change. That does not change the analysis, because it's still a February 8th tweet that they had already had access to at the time, but it was not from Toye. It was not from Toye, and I misread that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, that said, again, happy to be corrected on the facts. Let me just state again, they already had this tweet. It's not like it was sent in some discovery. It's not like it was something they just uncovered. They already had it. Okay? Okay. But thank you for catching that. Thank you for catching that. Okay. And again, doesn't change the analysis. You can't hold interrogatories hostage to a Rule 11 agreement. Like, That's coercive to an agreement, right? Well, if you want the answers, you're going to have to agree with us. Not how it works. Not how it works. So there we go. All right. Identify each instance of the, quote, over 100 accounts of, quote, assault you allege plaintiff committed in the tweet you posted to Ron Toye, February 4th, 2019. Same thing. Defendant will provide the information requested in this interrogatory once the Rule 11 agreement is on file with the court. And then interrogatory number 7. Identify each of the 100+ ladies you have asserted have come forward or were coming forward in the tweet you posted at Ron Toye on February 6th. Defendant will provide the information requested in this interrogatory once Rule 11. Now, they do have see also documents Bates labeled Toye 1 through 42. I haven't counted them. I don't think there's 100 distinct women in there. Don't think so. Don't think there's anything close to it. But that's it. I haven't counted them. Maybe I'll count them. Not on stream, but later. Identify each instance comprising the assaults the public isn't aware of, as you alleged in the tweet posted to Ron Toye on February 23rd. Defendant will provide the information once the Rule 11 agreement's in place. Identify each instance of the plaintiff robbing fans, as you alleged in the tweet you posted to at Ron Toye, replying to Marky Mark, Coffee Gaijin et al. On February 23rd. We'll provide it once the Rule 11 agreement is in place. Robbing fans. That's salacious. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but accusing someone of robbery is per se defamatory. So, Woodman Gaming, this document is Ron Toye's responses. And the interesting thing on the skinny on this document is that Ron Toye and his counsel, Casey Eric, have requested a confidentiality agreement on the names of all of the people, despite going before the court just a little while ago and saying we don't want a confidentiality agreement and neither do the people involved. So there you go. It is weird because they did say they wanted it all public, right? Man, didn't they? So next. Identify each instance of plaintiff forcing himself on people in a sexual manner without consent and that resulted in assault, as you allege in the tweet you posted on April 7th. Defendant will provide it once the Rule 11 agreement is in place. Identify the date you first met plaintiff. Oh, here we go. Defendant objects to this interrogatory because it seeks information that is in the possession of the plaintiff, publicly accessible or equally accessible to plaintiff. Defendant believes that he met plaintiff in 2017 at Denver Comic-Con. Okay, this is interesting, isn't it? Identify each incident of an investigation into plaintiff's behavior or conduct in which you have participated between A, the more recent of the date you first met plaintiff, or 2, January 21st, 2014, and the present. Defendant prematurely marshal all of his evidence, all of the same stuff. Defendant also objects to this interrogatory because the phrase each incident of an investigation into plaintiff's behavior or conduct is vague and ambiguous. No, it isn't. Did you participate in an investigation with the plaintiff, involving the plaintiff? And if so, provide the information. That's it. That's not vague or ambiguous at all. But here we go. Let's be very clear. Remember what Ron said over and over and over again on Twitter. Defendant never participated in an investigation of plaintiff's behavior or conduct. So Ron Toye talking about the investigation. I think this is important. Ron Toye, if he made a false statement about the investigation, has either admitted to knowing that it's false or admitted to reckless disregard for the truth. Because if he couldn't know, if he didn't participate in it and it was confidential, then he couldn't know the truth of the statement. Then he just made it. I don't know. It'd be part of my argument. Identify all email addresses. We're not going to go through that. Facebook and Twitter. There you go. These are requests for production. They say that they're going to they're objecting to a bunch of the production. I'm not going to go through all this. This isn't important for today. They're objecting to it, but then they're saying defendant will produce documents responsive to this request. So I don't know what all they've produced in response to this request as far as documents go. I have their interrogatories, and I have the Bates documents, Bates labeled Toye 1 through 42. I have those, but I don't know if they plan to produce more or if they're including that. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today specifically is this. The defendant proposes a Rule 11 agreement for plaintiff. Defendants will provide identifying information solely to counsel for plaintiff or in camera, and plaintiff's counsel would agree that none of the information offered will be shared publicly unless and until it's used in a public pleading or argument in this matter. This is part of exactly what they were asking for in court. Bullock specifically mentioned this, and Casey said no. And now they want it. And now they want it based on a February 8th tweet from Vic. There it is. But I'm the liar, right? I'm the liar. Apparently. Let's hit those super chats and then we'll wrap up the stream. This has been a good one, in my opinion. Wise says, every time I feel bad, I remember the Kick Vic people and I feel way better. Keep the great work. Thanks, buddy. Solo Beverly says, to @CousinVinny87 on Twitter, raging about Nick's super chats. This dollar amount is all you're worth. $5. Sorry, thank you for giving Nick this $5 tonight. Solo Beverly says, to JT Master Jedi on Twitter, thank you for getting me riled up. I feel so motivated to throw money at Nick. Thank you for giving Nick this $5. Party7319 says, do you have any input on the Memphis shooting and riots? If you don't know what it is, can you look it up? Love your content and take a shot for me. Yes, I can look it up. No, not right now. And I'm 3 drinks out and I have to drive early in the morning. So I'm going to chill on that. But thank you. Olron1 says, 1 part dark rum, 1 scoop vanilla ice cream, fill with creamy soda, finish with raisins, the perfect Carlos Sultana. CC Rio says, Moron taking lessons from Russell Greer, trying to summon Dennis Hoff. They think 600 tweets will summon 600 women. Ranstein Hernandez says, donation idea. For those throwing in for a super chat, to give half the money to said super chat and the other half towards the GoFundMe. Well, that's up to people doing it. Anthony League says, hey, Nick, it's Anthony. It was nice meeting you at Anime Matsuri and the dinner. I'm glad you made it home safely. Take my money, you awesome boomer. Thanks, buddy. Kevin C., thank you for the donation. Daystar Creation says, sent you an email. I have 0 tweets, 0 retweets, and I'm suspended from Twitter again. Clown World achieved. Good job. If you have a permanent suspension and you create an account after the permanent suspension, they'll suspend your new account. I don't know if you had a previous permanent suspension, but I mean, if you do, you said suspended from Twitter again. If you have that permanent suspension, they won't let you back on. You have to appeal the original account suspension and just keep appealing it. That's what I would do. Party7319 says, also, what do you think about the white journalist, White, who publicly tried to tell a black man what he should be offended by? Cyberpunk 2027 drama. I don't know. I see a lot of people publicly telling black people what to be offended by. So I guess that's just par for the course now. I guess they believe in white power. Spartans 5000, thanks for the donation. Rinnell Massacrador says, just wanted to donate so Yeet drop off the stream. Thanks. Baby Metal Rock says, here's some of that YouTube money. Thank you. Alec Detmering, thank you for the donations. Not a name says, here's some cash to put towards a class on how to highlight sections of a document, you boomer. I didn't want to highlight them before. Harbinger 345 says, take my money because it triggers the fatties. Money, 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 money. Friendly Neighborhood Tofu, thanks for the donation. Lukewarm Humor says, I still can't believe the douchette ran for Senate as a Republican. In North Carolina, John McCain would be proud. How emasculating. Professor Richard Face Says, it was weird seeing the lower half of your torso. Yeah, sorry about that. Carisha Rogers says, glad to work at Matsuri, just to see you as promised. Hey, Carisha, thank you. Thank you. You guys are so nice, by the way. Everyone on staff at Matsuri was so nice to me. Fancy Gusto says, always good to see you happy and ensures dank new Rackets memes. Also, you look like a different person outside the vault. Yeah. I hear I'm taller outside the vault. Lugied, thank you for the donation. Burnt Zapato, thank you. Rosalie Stella says, what if you do drink a lot, though? Lol. Yeah, that is a good question, honestly. Like, so what? Chuck Mung says, this is for John's blockage and now his unblockage. John Doe says, you magnificent bastard. Getting drunk on stream, you made booze a deductible business expense. Well played, sir. Well played. All around one says, 2 parts cream de cacao, 1 part vodka, pour over crushed ice, add milk, finish with chocolate flakes. Man, you got the drink recommendations down tonight, buddy. RMD0039 says, I love all your streams, so take my free super chat. Thank you. Rackets, antediluvian IT skills. Yes, that is a fantastic name, by the way. That is a fantastic name. Wondering if antediluvian is fair enough back. I think you mean far enough back. I don't know. That's a great name. Kryptonborn1 says, how was Ron allowed to get away with withholding information when these interviews were conducted on site with the judge available? Or am I extremely confused? No, these interrogatories are written requests that are responded to in writing. So the judge isn't, they're not produced on site with the judge available. The judge transcript was from May 31st. These were produced on June 10th or 11th. And there's that. Okay, so let's see, hold on. Wait a minute. Well, hold on. I got an interesting life is weird. Hold on. To G, who just sent me a direct message. Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. Okay, antediluvian. Yeah, no, I don't think it's far enough back. I don't think so. And Woodman Gaming, I'm sorry, man. Normie chat is hard to keep up with these days. It's hard to keep up with these days. I try, but it's really tough. Okay, next. Yellow Flash 2 says, lol, fluck John Matthews. Squally, thanks for the donation. It was nice meeting you. Fury Finesse says, having fun while I drink a 750 of Chivas Regal 12. Blaine 20 says, Twitter, Nick said the P word. Oh yeah, they're going to be mad about that. Blaine 20 says, Jody Meister wants on, check the sewers. Yellow Flash 2 says, lies by John. If it's speculation, I say so. Yeah, buddy, go get him. Mr. Clean's Crispy Bun says, how embarrassing, John. How can he not understand that this, whether or not it's true or not, will forever scar him in every aspect of life? Cool heads are nice, but being passionate about the truth is best. Nigerian Paralegal says, Brandon Straka of the Walk Away movement is suing LGBT Center in New York for discrimination. That could be interesting to follow. Thank you for letting me know of that. Oak 1971 says, John is the soy in a veggie burger. Magnus Genesis says, way to tone police everyone, John. Billy Bazinga says, could this John guy theoretically be deposed? I mean, in theory, but probably not. What's he going to testify? If he's going to testify to stuff he saw on Ron's phone, they just ask Ron in deposition. Equinox says, nothing can heal the burn you've inflicted on John. Well, I hope that's not true. A de la LMAO says, the cuck lord is in the chat. He better Skype you. Rolana1 says, I didn't know Vic before this, but a big fan of Due Process versus the law firm of Twit and Exactly. Pie Baker says, wouldn't it be nice if we could settle? Then we wouldn't have to spend so much. Wouldn't it be nice if we could settle? Then we wouldn't have to spend so much. Equinox says, there would be nothing to say if Kick Vic would STF you. It'd be interesting, right? Verithica Frostscale says, if Vic wins, how do you think this will affect future Me Too cases? I think it'll make him take a pause. Rancine Hernandez says, Nick, have you seen the movie Law Abiding Citizen? Yeah, it's great. If you haven't, I recommend it. Moral of the story, don't piss off an engineer. That's a great movie. I love Gerard Butler movies. And when he stabs that guy with the T-bone. Jay Siva says, Elijah Craig, small batch. BT Woodford Reserve. Better than Woodford Reserves. Ooh, I haven't had the small batch, Elijah Craig. Equinox says, that picture of Moby Bish is amazing. Ear Juice says, Pillstream/Killstream was brilliant today. I got the whole thing recorded for future content. Check in for clips with Ralph popping pills, etc. Oh, come on. I hope not. Come on, Ralph. Sinrius Akari says, finally caught a stream. Work keeps me away. Keep up the great work, everyone. Hey, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that. DCV Titan says, I noticed Jamie wasn't listed as a defendant. Was she not served by this point, or is she not listed because she or her counsel weren't present? The motion hearing, if you're talking about the motion documents, was only a motion between Rial and Toye and Vic. Marky's lawyer was actually present in the audience, as was Funimation's lawyer. They were both present there. Ichicinco says, Nick, he was changing his Twitter handle while you were reading the DMs to stuff like, it's okay, Nick, let it out, buddy, and hi, chat, how are you guys? Well, good. That's funny. Good job, buddy. Rackets Antediluvian IT Skill says, should remind SJWs about the boy who cried wolf. I mean, they've got to be learning that now. They're diluting every actual account of abuse by calling everything abuse and by saying everyone's an abuser. Breeda Jedi says, thanks for the donations. He didn't say anything. Snarkticon DM says, when I was born, the doctor slapped my butt without my consent. Can I sue his family for assault? Yeah, get that guy's estate. James Duvall, thanks for the donation. No one important says, shout out to the judge who is watching. That'd be funny. That would be funny. Andrew War Snowboard says, Vic's not the bad guy, duh. Snarkticon DM says, I hope Ron gave Shane his shoes because he shot himself in the foot so many times he won't be able to wear them anymore. Snarkticon DM says, 75 of the 100 women is just Ron in different wigs. Brad Russell says, thanks for introducing me to the Dick Show. Hey, you're welcome. Great show. Gonna have Dick on soon. Oh, real quick, while I still have many of you here, Friday night is gonna be a Chad Dad Father's Day, post Father's Day stream with Larry and Doug. I don't know if we'll have another guest or not. I gotta check. But Larry and Doug for sure. Father's Day, chill stream. We're gonna have fun, talk about being dads. Come watch, come hang out, listen to Larry and Doug are both very entertaining, great guys. So that's happening. Working on getting Dick Masterson and Null on to discuss the proposed bill to curb Section 230. They were debating it on Twitter. Dick's got his road rage in Vegas, so it's going to be about a week. But that's working on it. And I'm working on Viva Frey. I've proposed the date of Saturday to him. I don't know if he'll be available, but my show is really late for him. So I'm hoping if it's a Saturday show, that would be more amenable to him. But I've proposed it, waiting for his response. Otherwise, we'll work something out. We'll work, even if I have to do an early show, we'll work it out. Zyver Warrior says, first video about Vic was February 11th with Doug. Thank you. Thank you. Asia Frazier. Asia Frazier says, a while back, Nick said these guys were going to get bent. Naturally, I thought this meant as in bent for a whooping. And then I Googled get bent. Oh my. Oh no. What is, I don't even know what that is. Big Red Bear. Any kind of agreement made with Casey Eric can't be trusted is what I'm getting from this. How can a court operate with this kind of duplicity? They do. They just have to maybe issue sanctions. DZV Titan says, all these seeks to have defendant prematurely marshal all of his evidence really makes it seem like Ron has absolutely nothing to back his claims. Yes, thank you. You just reminded me. That just reminded me. Thank you so much for bringing up something that I wanted to talk about very briefly. Yes, Twitch tonight. Twitch right after this. This looks like this looks like a couple things. Casey can't be that bad of a lawyer, right? Casey's not that incompetent. It's not guaranteed that the court is going to rule in Vic's favor on the motion to compel, and then a motion for sanctions if that's what happens. I think that's what's going to happen. Motion to compel, motion for sanctions, for discovery abuse, for blatant discovery abuse, over and over again. Court's going to be pissed if they have to hear this. The court is going to be pissed at people. Okay? Both sides. Court is not going to be happy to have another discovery issue come in. Right? Be very clear on that. But Casey is gambling. Casey is gambling that the judge won't sanction him for this. Why would you gamble that? What do you have to gain? So sometimes you eat the sanction because you need something, right? You need information, you need whatever, you know what you're doing has a lot of risk to it. And sometimes you think that risk is worth it and you eat the sanction. Some lawyers, not all. I've never been sanctioned, but some lawyers might do that. All right. What's there to gain from withholding this information now? Time. A big bank on someone else filing a TCPA because you can't. Those are the two things that they stand to gain, right? What if they have nothing? What if their case is worse than we thought? Possible sanctions are money. Money sanctions, a waiver of all objections would be a sanction. A waiver of discovery, a waiver of their ability to do an interrogatory. Lots of things can be sanctioned. A waiver of their ability to file a TCPA, for example. The judge can do that. Judge can decide there's not good cause for the TCPA and sanction them that way. The judge has a lot of discretion in sanctionable actions, but money is one of them. Attorney's fees for making them fight for information that's supposed to be provided. That's the big one. All right. Time is the one thing they have to gain from this. This is a ballsy move by Casey. Because if he read the Tarrant County rules, it's pretty obvious that objecting, and notice he didn't object. He said, we'll just give it after this agreement. Buying time. After the agreement, that would guarantee, listen, hear me out on this. If they got that agreement, what would it promise? It would promise that no one could say that they don't know the identities, right? We'll provide it to you, given that you don't spread it out to anybody else. Or no one could say, Ty and his team couldn't let people know that there were only 10 people rather than 100. Or there's only 5 stories. Or there aren't any, can't identify anybody because they don't actually know any names. And everything was from an anonymous forum. That would be really embarrassing. That'd be really embarrassing to have nothing. So that's what they stand to gain on this. It's really possible that their case is way worse. Now, what that means that Casey realizes he's likely to lose the case, but is trying to achieve an alternative objective. And I'll be charitable and say that objective is his client's objective to slag Vic as long as possible and to drive up costs as much as possible. We'll see. I don't know. But man, these objections, this failure to produce the documentation doesn't make sense. They could have gotten this, and all of the information they're basing it on is from February. It's not new. This is not new. Woodman Gaming. Yeah, I want to BS with whiskey. Email me, buddy. You're in the area, right? Let's hang out sometime. I'd love to. Email me. We'll set it up. All right. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, let me do this. We don't need those documents anymore anyway. Okay, back to the chats. Okay, thank you, DCV Titan, for sending that chat. Kakalo Tuzaru says, hey, Nick, good to have our favorite fake drunk lawyer back with us. Hey, good to be back, buddy. Sarodinian says, small nitpick, the February 8th tweet referenced is from Vic, not Ron. Yes, thank you. Thank you. We got that corrected. Dang it, I wish I would have caught that, you know, in the flow of it, but oh well. Asia Fraser says, special thanks to Ninja Bread Man for the timestamps. Yeah, man, he's been great, but I don't know if he'll be able to do them today because he said he's got something coming up that'll prevent him from doing it. The greatest stories never told says, good job, we lost the case, you dropped the ball. If I could only stop losing the case. Sakagi Onzai says, Shane just got a size 13 boot up his tuchus. Hashtag H-E. How embarrassing. Oh, good. Okay, there we go. Devil Hunter Nero says, here's the tribute to our lovable, fearless leader. Snarknicon DM says, Nick, you have to say the Brie Larson thank you very much when accepting donations. Oh, I don't want to do anything like Brie Larson does. Saniko says, the start of a fund to build a harpoon big enough to take down the great blue orca. Whew, that's gotta penetrate a lot of blubber. Sarodinian says, Vic's tweet was responding to a 2-7 tweet by Ron. Oh, that's interesting. Really? That makes it better. Well, might have been responding to it, but he didn't like actually respond to it. So not on Twitter anyway. Okay. Asia Fraser says, Nick being drunk is just as fake as Nick being a lawyer. We all know those whiskey bottles are full of tea. You got me. You got me, Fraser. Asia Fraser. Snarknicon DM says, Nick equals new Brian Wilson. Automata says, Vic's February 8th tweet was made in response for a demand of condemnation from Ron on February 7th. Image capping the bulletproof vest YouTube comment. That's why, if I were Vic's lawyer on February 7th and 8th, I would have said, don't you dare respond to that little chump. Don't you dare respond to that little chump. But c'est la vie. You can't police the internet, so don't try. Don't try. DCV Titan says, just had a thought. Is Ron claiming with the response to the interrogatories that, quote, Vic knows who he's assaulted and that's why plaintiff already has this information? Yeah, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. Blaze Hazix, thanks for the donations. Kyle, thank you for the donations. Solvis says, I want Drexel and Vic to have a long chat. Uh-oh. Yeah. Drexel will teach Vic how to address women. That'd be interesting. Lane 20 says, Hirohei gave me a non-consensual hug at Anime Matsuri. Would you prefer to represent him or me in the imminent suit? Depends who's got the better triangle choke. Snack Sheet says, Ty is a reincarnation of Judge Roy Bean. Timothy Reaper says, get Tug on the Chad Dad stream. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll ask him. TLJ Screwjob says, any chance for EVS on Friday's Chad Dad stream? I could ask him. I don't know. I don't know. Blaze Hazix says, hey, from originally Kick Vic, had a good friend deal with this / Godfather. Glad to see it turn around. Love you, Nick. False allegations suck booty. Hey, thanks, buddy. So you were in Kick Vic and then changed your mind? That's awesome. That's awesome. Big Dummy for Life says, Eric for sure has to have forfeited his job efficiency to the woke cause via sympathizing with Ronica. We'll get that, Vic. Don't you worry. Keldeo the Horse, thanks for the donation. Blaine20 says, hashtag it's all fake. Keldeo the Horse says, going to Too many games in Pennsylvania. Love y'all. Hey, later. Later, have fun. Snarkticon DM says, Nick's not a fake drunk lawyer. He's a real drunk who is also a lawyer. Fluffy Side Up says, I was at work last week listening to the LOL suit. I got to episode 8 when you read the duck show description. A cute girl walked in as you read saying duck like 30 times. Dick show description. Cute girl walked in as you read it saying dick like 30 times. How embarrassing. Get her to watch the show and the dick show. She'll love it. Michael LaValle says, greetings from Duluth. You make Minnesota proud. Hey, thanks, buddy. Greetings to the frozen tundra of Duluth. All right, let's hit the justice chats, and then we're done, and I'll move on to Twitch after I go to the bathroom. Broly Elric says, huge fan, Papa Rackets. Just a question I had, is the gym show still a good? Also, this is my first justice chat. Hey, thanks for doing that. Is the gym show still a good? Gym is in Medicare? I don't know. I think so. Mercenary X says, any more of the words of a strong bad holy crap? Is that Moby Dick's mom? Wait, I'm sorry, and I apologize to Moby Dick and his mom. I don't want them to be associated with degenerate and infected individuals. I say this because there's a flu going around. Books, Games, Pottery says, Mr. Busy, just a quick reminder to check your Discord DMs for us plebeians who have the time to ask dumb questions. I need to know if you have an answer to my question. Response or not, your streams are still the best. Oh, of course I'll get to it. I'm sorry. Gan Still at Large says, now wait a minute, John. No! Darius says, hey, Nick, send an email about gift question. Email is same username, only at Gmail. This will probably be my last chat for a while. Our cuts are finally catching up with me. By the way, Mr. Smarty Pants John Matthews only has 138 followers. Beta. Oh, don't be too mean. I wasn't intending to rag on his followers. I was just illustrating that he probably didn't have too much action on that thread. Knight of Hopex says, hey, John, study my behaviorisms. Clown butt looking clowns / you middle finger. Mythos Irving says, collecting scalps, you Brad Pitt now. Fine, I owe you 50 Nazi scalps. Oh, man. These Hands says, pretty sure the incident he is referring is Phoenix Comic Con where someone snuck a gun in and tried to kill Jason David Frank. After that, lots of cons changed their policy on props and security. Doom Guy says, Shane, I know you're watching this. I hope you choke on your next shoe. Dank Moff Tarkin says, Your Honor, my clients are retarded. Casey Eric. That's rude of him to say. Knight of Hopex says, oh no, Casey, Nick just hauled out the rule book on your BA. Oh no, it's almost like they know a-holes like you exist or something. Busted. Ben Cheevers says, sanctionable. Ben Cheevers says, they're scared for the public to know they are full of crap and have nothing to produce. So they're trying to say they produced it, but it's confidential. I really hope Ty isn't amenable to this at all, and neither is the court. Let me just suggest that I don't think Ty is amenable to this at all. Whether or not the court is, that'll be a question if Ty files a motion to compel. We'll have to wait and see. Tess Not on Holiday says, how dare you not take Drex to Anime Matsuri? Don't you realize that anime conventions are the equivalent to Mecca for traps? Nick Rekieta, worst swingman confirmed. Thorax Media says, I am very sorry to have questioned your authority over your own show during the last stream. Wasn't meant to be offensive at all. I was just curious. Anyway, sent you an email. I'd be happy if you'd come back to it sometime in the future. I don't even remember what you said, buddy. So no harm, no foul. No harm, no foul. What was it? What did you say? What did you say? I hope I didn't sound too mad. Sir Oblivion says, thoughts on new Battletoads? 3-player so Lady Rackets can play. 3-player so Lady Rackets can play, but super cucked so who would want her to? Verithica Frostscale says, how do I get a copy of that blue orca pick? I think Tug sells them. I think you gotta check with Tug. So, okay, we've got Blaine20 says, fine, I'll hire Ty and his black belt skills. Blaze Hazik says, yes, sir, change sides. Had friends and family actually deal with crap, false accusations. Love you, Nick. Do what you do. You're my hope that justice can prevail. Hey, man, false accusations will change your mind real quick. Hopefully your friends and family got good resolutions. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. That's the show for tonight. Let's start that outro. Right? Let's start that outro. Oh, there it is. Boomered that already. Start that outro. All right, and don't worry, I'll increase the volume, you know, as we get done. TLJ Screwjob says, now you have one full document, Rackets. Yeah, thanks. Oh, Thrax. No, I wasn't, no. And if I came across as brash towards you, no. I was just trying to make a point because a lot of people have raised that issue, and I'm really, you know, the other side, they want Vic to be responsible for me and what I do. And I don't want them to have anything where they can say that Vic has control over my show, because he does not. He absolutely does not. And I don't want them to try and tie my actions to Vic, because they're not the same thing. And if I were to give Vic that leeway, not that he's asked for it, but if I were to give him that, if he did ask for it and I were to give him that, that would compromise the integrity of the show, and it would also then potentially give him some sort of duty to police my actions, and that will not happen. So, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out tonight. I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to go over to Twitch. It'll probably be about 10 minutes as I get everything wrapped up here, and as I go to, I gotta go to the bathroom. And then I'm probably only gonna do Twitch for like an hour tonight because I have to drive early tomorrow, which I didn't realize when I committed to it yesterday. But I committed to it, and I will do it. So, we'll be talking very soon. Very soon. Thank you all. Not sure what tomorrow's show will be specifically, but but we'll be not sure what the show will be about specifically, but I may have an idea. I may have just gotten an idea for it. I will post it on Twitter. All right, thanks y'all. Have a good night. Peace.
So pour out an art bag, a bow, more of love frog. Spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea, post on Twitter as we hear lawsplaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are.